Hey there, I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick.
From Deadzone, the podcast.
And you're listening to Mantic Universe Podcast.
For everything Mantic under the sun.
Welcome to the Mantic Universe Podcast. My name is Mark Zielinski, and I am here with my good friends Chris and Clem today, and we're bringing you the latest pod. So today on the Mantic Universe Podcast, episode 11, welcome to 2023. We're going to be doing our welcome. We'll get a little bit of hobby updates and stuff from the guys, a little introduction there. We'll go through Mantic news. We're going to do our Warpath Firefight update with the latest news there. And, of course, then we'll do the Deadzone update. And then it's going to be time for Pannithor with the latest news for Kings of War. And then we're going to get an update from the guys on the Slow Grow League and the Salamanders Kings of War project. Then we'll get into Pannilore, listener questions, and then we're going to wrap it up with the topic of the month, 2023, the year of Mantic. We've got a little bit of a glimpse into the crystal ball, and we'll see how it goes from there. So, but first, let's welcome the guys to their own show. So, Chris, Clem, how are you doing?
I'm good, but Mark, you did that a little bit too well, and now I'm starting to feel anxious.
That was great. I mean, it's good to have a change. It's a good intro. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for running through that, Mark. We really appreciate it. It was so nice to have Mark on last month. We just sort of said, Mark, can you come on again? Yeah, why not? And apologies, I really wanted to get Trent on, our friend Trent, this month, but he was, we couldn't make it work. So we'll have to get him on another time. But Mark, thanks so much for joining us again.
It's great to have
you. It's my absolute pleasure. And I think, poor Trent, he's locked up with Rob over there at Countercharge. So he's been on Countercharge a lot lately. He says we're doing our run up to Adepticon 2023, which is very exciting.
Trent is so good on it, though. He's so thoughtful, and he's just a great guy. Yeah, fantastic. Super. So, shall we start talking about Mantic news?
Let's do it.
So, let's talk about the latest hotness in the world of Mantic. And this section it seems to get longer every month, doesn't it? Let's be honest.
I mean, that's the topic of the month, right? 2023, the year of Mantic. There's a reason for that.
Good point, buddy. So Ronnie was on the Blackjack Legacy channel with the two new versions of Dungeon Saga.
Yeah, we forgot
that last month. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it will also, like, the first one is basically the family-friendly version, like to play with your young kids. Like really an intro board game version from what I understand. And I think that this one is coming pretty soon because they mentioned it on the blog, I think, recently, Dungeon Saga Origins. Is that so? I don't have the name.
I've got to be honest, I didn't actually watch the video. Is it, so it's not two modes of play for the same game, it is two separate versions?
I don't think so. No, I think it's two different games. Yes. That would be that's what I remember at least. So maybe it's something else where we're wrong, which is kind of... that's on brand for us.
Write in and tell us, everybody.
Yeah. Get angry and write and tell us that we're wrong. We don't do this on purpose, but that happens.
You say that, Clem, but it's happened too many times now.
Right. No, it's just that that's how
we get things wrong so much. People must start to wonder.
Yeah. It's just two different games, and one is, from what I understand, like really entry-level game that you play with your 7-year-old. And have a very quick, fun dungeon crawling experience. And the other one is kind of closer to Dungeon Saga number 2, so in a beta version. And that one will come later, from what I understand.
That sounds really cool. I've still got the Dwarf Kings whatever set that I think I did open it at one point, but I haven't painted any of the models. Maybe I took out the tokens or something. I think that's about as far as I got.
Yeah, I have the whole Dungeon Saga stuff. I got the base game quite a long time ago, and then I bought all of the leftover expansions during the Black Friday sale. And I played a few times with my wife and nephews, at family events, bringing the game and playing through a few dungeons, and it was nice. I mean, I don't otherwise have occasions to play on my own or play with friends with it, but it was a nice game. Yeah. I think it's pretty cool that they bring it back, and I think in Dungeon Crawler is a classic for a reason, right? To play a quick and entry-level game with your kids or your brother's kids, in my case, but similar experience.
Sounds really cool. Yeah. We also had announced the new two-player Deadzone box set with the Styrians and play.
Yeah,
cool. I think it's the same terrain that was in the first pack. Obviously, if you're interested in one of these factions, it's a great way to get in. I don't think I'll pick it up just purely because I've got so much of what's already in the box already that but it looks like an interesting way. What I particularly liked actually is they're pushing this as a particular cade for the Asterians. It's not just generic Asterians; it's a specific type of Asterians, and that's something I think is really cool. So that that sort of implies there's going to be more lore to do with that. So that sounds really, really cool.
Yeah, there is a small story around it, right? Like it's not just a random, hey, we put news sprues in there. And that's it. There's a little bit of a story, so I think you can still get some inspiration from it. And it's a good update also for people who want to get involved with Deadzone. Still an excellent game, so yeah, it's pretty good.
And there was also apparently a hint about 3D printing from Ronnie's blog.
Yeah, so all of those news, from what I remember when we prepared the show's notes, were from checking the blog post from Ronnie, like the New Year post. And when I read it, I think it's pretty clear. He's hinting at 3D printing stuff for Armada, because he was basically mentioning Armada stuff, and he was saying, and I quote, obviously then you'll buy all the fleets because it's amazing, or will you, with a question mark? You definitely want the boats, but maybe there will be other ways to get the boats. Watch this space. So, I don't know, like, if you don't buy it, maybe you rob a store, but I'm not sure I want to do that. So the other way would be to buy files for them, and instead of having them spend a lot of time casting resin, they would let you 3D print it. Who knows?
Yeah, that sounds super cool. And yeah, there's talk about buying all the boats or 3D printing the boats. That sounds really cool. They've also relaunched the Pathfinder program. So existing Pathfinders like myself, we all had to basically reapply. But I think it was really to get us all in a more organised way. So I think I really approve of that. I think it's a smart thing to do.
Yep,
I think there's going to be a bit more organisation. Yeah, congratulations, Clem. Yay.
Nice, Clem. Congrats.
Thank you.
It's all about getting a free T-shirt, as far as I'm concerned. I think you've got to run about 3 events, and then you can say, I've run 3 events. Can I have my T-shirt now?
Does the events in the past count, like before becoming a Pathfinder? If so, they can send me a few T-shirts. No, I'll get it later. This is just kind of, in practice, I'm already doing the Pathfinder job.
You've been doing it anyway, buddy, haven't you? Let's be honest.
So why not just be also in the group and exchange good tips and tricks with the other Pathfinders?
Yeah, exactly. And Mantic usually come to Essen Spiel, which is a massive board game event in Essen, obviously. And I've sort of volunteered Clem and myself to go this year and help Mantic. So I really hope something comes of that. That'd be great. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's kind of a trade show, and it's a full week or something. So let's see. But I think it's sometime in the spring, isn't it?
Yeah. And I'm sure, or like September, something like that. But I'm sure we could go for a long weekend or something like that. I mean, we're volunteering, so I know. Already the pressure's started. We're volunteers. We're on our break.
Well, Essen is a gigantic show. It is the largest board gaming convention in the world by quite a distance. So you will have 100,000 people there. something like that, or more. It is crazy. So with the pandemic being over, that is the big show. So if you guys are over there, all the big name board gamers will be there.
Fantastic. And we'll also mention, so Martin's relaunching the Organised Play program, which sounds very exciting. And there's going to be a virtual Mantic Open Day around March, which also sounds great. We talked about Dungeons Saga Origins, I think.
Yeah, that's where they actually gave the name and a bit more information about it. Yeah.
I love the idea of different play modes. I really like that. So solo, co-op, player versus player. That all sounds really great. Yeah, that sounds really, really good.
So I think they posted the one render for a miniature, and it looks pretty cool. Like, it looks like a nice miniature, so I like it. Looking
nice.
Forward.
And 2 of our Kings of War Mantic IP armies will be getting new hard plastic kits, new models and army sets in the summer. If someone who knows more than me wants to talk about that, that would be great.
Well, one we already know, right? Or well, maybe the Twilight King is one of these 2. And then the second one we don't know yet. But I think there were a mention of a dwarf that might be with Northern Alliance. So who knows?
There was also mention that Trident Realms is going to be getting a new plastic sprue too. So I don't know if we'll get a sprue or 2 of those. And so I don't know. It'd be kind of cool if the next starter box was Trident Realms with Gekato and Placoderms versus the new Twilight Kin. I think that would make an awesome box set. So, but we'll see what happens. That's kind of where my money is for the new plastic frames this year, but I could be wrong.
Yeah,
it sounds expensive from my point of view.
It's always expensive, Chris.
It's actually a great deal. What are you talking about? You just get 2 of those boxes, and then you have 2 armies. That's great.
Absolutely. I love the 2-player starters. Just love them. I have bought every one of them.
Incredible value. So, Mark, where would that fight happen? Like, what's the lore between Twilight King and Trident Realm? What would they fight for?
Well, you don't know. I mean, the Twilight Kin basically can go anywhere, but even if they're on the southern part of the inner sea there and everything, I mean, that's where the Twilight Kin is. So, and you've got the Twilight Kin on the boats, and so they can come up with any type of hook that they want with that. Maybe an island, where the Twilight Kin are looking for some kind of a portal or something like that, to open up, and then the Twilight Kin run into the Trident Realms, and that are defending that, and maybe where the portal is something that the I'm going to mess up Twilight Kin and Trident Realms.
It's so easy to get confused between the 2, isn't it?
So, the portal point that the Twilight Kin is trying to get to is actually a holy site or a very reverent site for the Trident Realms.
There you go.
There's conflict there.
I really like
to get
that.
To the portal.
Or possibly because if you look at the map of Pannithor and where I'm doing it now already. The Twilight Kin come from, so they're big sailors and raiders and stuff. And there's a bit called the Mouth of Leith, and it's this big sort of they've got this very natural defendable position where they can sail out from. But I could imagine, obviously, the Trident Realm, attacking that. So maybe that could be, maybe they're trying to block the, evil ships going out, which could also be cool. But either way, but if you think about it, the Trident Realm have got a pretty big advantage, is that they go on land, have a battle, win or lose. Their cities are all safely under the sea, right? No one can really get to them.
Yes, but if you think about it, Night Stalkers, they're projections of your mind and nightmares, right? So maybe they could do a little attack in the lands of the Trident Realm. So
absolutely.
There you go.
I mean,
they're not so restricted. So
what happens when you pee while you're swimming in the sea? You also pee in the house, technically, right? It's a dilution, so it's not that safe. I don't know.
Don't pee in the pool, kids. You'll get a depth horror after you. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I imagine, the waters around Basilia are not particularly clean. There's
Yeah, I would.
slurry going out there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super. There's also two new fleets for Armada. I think one of them we're expecting is the Trident Realm.
Right.
And possibly some 3D printed stuff. So that'd be really, really interesting.
Yeah, so I think they mentioned a new book with some rules for interactive scenery for Armada. And again, so that's a different blog post that we're reviewing right now. They were also hinting at some stuff 3D printed. So I'm pretty convinced we will see 3D printing from Mantic sort of very soon, like sometime in 2023. So that's huge. And I think they will bring it through Armada one way or another. That would be my understanding of the situation. But yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with it, obviously.
I think that would make a lot of sense because it's kind of a bit of a speciality game, isn't it? Very popular, but all the models are currently in resin. And we sort of talked previously about the cost for Mantic doing resin, and their margin doesn't improve. If they make 10 chips or 4,000 chips, they're still making the same profit. So that would make a lot of sense.
One very simple computation you can do is, would you rather sell a 10 euro ship or a 10 euro STL file for the same ship, knowing that you will sell only one of a type of ship to any player anyway? Because fleets are not that huge and you don't have that many different, like of one given ship, maybe you have 2 or 3, but not like 20 of them, right? So I think that's a pretty good spot to sell some accessories or like some side files for some specific goals. Like it's better for them financially speaking.
Yeah, and it feels quite kind of safe and self-contained, doesn't it? That if the worst thing happens and people are pirating STLs, which obviously we don't agree with, it's not Kings of War, or it's not going to be their biggest IPs threatened overnight. It's going to be this specialty game. It's very popular, but I think it's the damage could be somewhat mitigated by that. Cool. That sounds good. It's
a good game to test the waters. Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, nicely put, sir. Super. It always feels like so much news at the moment, as we said.
Sure, but do you guys think that they're going to sell the STLs, or do you think they'll just use it as a manufacturing process and they'll just sell the 3D prints, kind of like War Machine?
Oh, that's interesting.
Good question. I think doing both would be interesting from the customer perspective, because some people just don't want to mess with having their own resin printer, or just don't have any desire to do so, and so just want to buy a couple models and be done with it. They could partner with someone else somewhere with a printer farm to do this kind of service. But so for people like me who kind of tend to over-collect and have way too many things for one given army, having the STL itself and being able to print my own ships would be more interesting, I think. So I don't know. They could go both ways. I don't really see them getting rid of all of the resin casting. I still think they will cast some stuff. Do they have space to have a printer farm somewhere and also employees to handle the farm? Will they partner with someone who does the printing? It's you never really know.
It'd be really interesting, because I think for the hard plastics, haven't they partnered with somebody in Poland, I think?
Yes, for the manufacturing.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Great question, Mark. Yeah, we'll do what we always do: speculate for ages, and then we find out next month we're completely wrong.
Sounds about.
That's how we work.
Yeah.
Fantastic, but it's really exciting, right? I think it's so important for Mantic as a business to the hard plastic stuff and this. It sounds fantastic.
I mean, yeah, also for the industry as a whole, right? It would be quite interesting because Mantic are tiny compared to GW, obviously, but they are a relatively big player in the field. So if they also switch to some 3D printing of some sort, I think it's a big change, right? Like there's also, as you mentioned, the War Machine stuff now is 3D printed, but it's just for their own manufacturing. But yeah, I think it's an interesting change for the whole industry. Definitely.
I find that really interesting because I think the game War Machine sounds really interesting to me, but just the environment of how competitive it is just means that no way, I'm not going to get involved in that. But I think people have been saying War Machine's dead for the last 5 years to varying degrees. And it's really interesting. YouTube seems to be full of videos saying War Machine is dead. And yet this seems to be quite an interesting and very brave decision they've made. So I hope it's successful for Privateer Press, to be quite honest. I think it's only a good thing. There's, interesting, companies doing interesting things in the market. Anyway, moving on swiftly. So we know officially, so we've suspected it for a while, Maison Labs are coming to Firefight. And we've seen the new box, the new army box, and it looks really, really cool. Yep. The Strike Force box, that's what I couldn't remember. Thanks, Clem. And it'd be really interesting to see, will the rules come in a book? Will it go straight into the app? How Mantic handle that? I think it will probably show us how they're going to do things going forward. Be really interested to see.
Yeah. I mean, I certainly hope that they will have kind of better rules in the app, like right away, as soon as the Strike Force is available for sale, and that at some point there will be like a Clash of King like book, but for sci-fi, hopefully Deadzone and Firefight, and ideally 6 months apart from the fantasy Clash of King book, because I think those books are a great opportunity to have something nice printed in your hand and kind of show to the skeptics that the game is very much alive and kicking and new stuff is coming out. I mean, they've hinted, not just hinted, but said tanks will be coming to Firefight next. And I don't know, I would expect to see some new kits, probably a book along with this. So my own impression is we will see the rules in the app in the next few weeks when the models are available for Maison Labs. And sometime spring, summer, whatever, we'll get an actual book with tanks and finalized rules for Maison Lab and so on. That
makes a lot of sense, Clem. To me, that would be perfect, to be honest. If there's kind of a Clash of Kings style book, that would be so good. I mean, Maison Labs really is one of my favorite factions for any game. I just think it's the cool, it just makes me happy to see it, right? So I'm really excited. And I feel like probably Firefight has done well enough to get support for Mantic for the next phase, as we said, rolling out tanks, etc. Maybe this new book. So it's just up to us, people that love it, just to keep pushing it, try and get new players in and grow it, right?
Yeah, I mean, here locally in Berlin, it is catching up. Like, people start to actually buy stuff for it and play games. It's taking some time, but it certainly is going in an upward direction, and that makes me happy. I think you start to see events organized for Firefight as well. Obviously less than for Kings of War, because the player base is completely different. It's not as big, but it is on a good trajectory, I think, and so that's really positive. Let's see where that goes.
Perfect, and that's a perfect segue into talking about our Warpath, Firefight.
Just real quick, guys, I jumped up on the Mantic Companion, and the Mantic Maison Labs Army Builder is live. So
that's so exciting.
So that's how it goes. That's why you do the introduction, right? Like, Chris and I just talk shit and are wrong, and then you actually do the work and check that it actually is there. That's why you're here.
Save us, Mark. Save us from ourselves.
Yeah, so it's very, very cool. The other thing I like about Maison Labs, too, is I love the color scheme that Mantic came up with them. The red and black is really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it's different use of the same base kits. And the GCPS and Plague player, obviously, I love Maison Lab and like to get a twist. And from a narrative perspective, obviously, they also bring something interesting to the table. So, yeah, I'm really cool.
And sorry, Mark, just this will make great radio. Is it in the Firefight section you saw Maison Labs, or was it the Deadzone section?
It's actually, let me double check here. You may have to clip all that out. Well, it is in Deadzone, but
I can't see
I
it.
did Firefight. It came up in Firefight, I thought.
So it's not in Firefight. Let me see.
Nope, it's not. Then
Can't
clip
see.
all that out of there.
All right. Well,
No, why
so
does it keep
soon.
flipping
I
over
promise
to
nothing.
Deadzone? Firefight list builder. I thought it was in the Firefight list builder.
No worries.
Oh,
No
soon.
worries.
Nope,
Soon,
just
but
clip all that out.
This is why Deadzone the podcast edits.
That's right.
But we don't, like real men. We don't have no safety net whatsoever. Also, I'm sure Chris loves when we have blunders like this. That's
Oh, massively. Fantastic. But no worries. No, it's all very exciting. Yeah. So, Mark, what have you been doing for Firefight this month?
Well, let's see. I received the Firefight Veerman Strike Force for Christmas, which was exciting. I can't figure out, what kind of loadouts and stuff to go with, so I started building a unit with the ray guns, and then I ended up with COVID, so I kind of had to set that off to the side for a bit. I just didn't really feel like doing anything, and so what I'm working on right now is I'm working with you, Chris, on putting together my 1,000-point list for the Firefight tournament at Adepticon. So
Very exciting.
I am officially signed up, and we will be doing it. So it sounds like I'm bringing Forge Fathers. Is that right, Chris?
It's the correct choice. Yes. Possibly Enforcers.
Yeah, I have some of both of them, but so first things first, got to get the Adepticon prep done. So hopefully, I know Rob is having his list built. I think Tyler Schultz is building his list. Jeremy is having his list built by Kyle Timberlake. So I'm going to join that, and I'm going to have my list built by you, Chris. So. And
I've got to say, I think the other people building lists are far more competent than I am. So when it all goes wrong, just blame me. That's fine. The
other thing I can say is Jeremy, probably out of the three of us, is probably the most competent with it. I've watched him playing on Tabletop Simulator before with Kyle, but I mean, I've played 2 test games with Colin at 500 points. That's my Firefight experience. So that and reading the rules and some math hammer. So that's about where I'm at right now. So, but I'm excited for it. It'll be the first 1,000-point tournament in the United States. We'll be at Adepticon. They had an 800-point tournament at the Michigan GT already, but we'll see what happens. And I know they're talking about having a primer sometime in February. So, but it's exciting. So I think there's still 5 tickets left at the time of this recording. So
nice. Sounds like there's going to be a fierce battle for the wooden spoon at the tournament.
Absolutely.
Or it's like the battle of the proxy, like Chris will use Corwell in the tournament by writing a list for Mark. It's like a team event, like someone writes the list and someone else plays it.
Good luck, buddy. There's so much pressure.
Well, you know what the fun thing is, though? You'll be there, Chris, see?
Yeah, in
because
spirit.
your list will be there, so it'll be just like you did. So.
I can't wait to hear how you get on. It's so exciting, fantastic. But
your
again,
biggest problem is I'm running the list. So
no, not at all.
That's where
not
it falls down.
Not at all. But again, it's we're talking about Firefight's an amazing game, and just it getting out there and people seeing it and playing 1,000 points. This is fantastic. It's really exciting. And what about you, Clem?
So the latest thing that I've been doing for Firefight is assembling some Marauders because I still have the stuff from the starter. I have 2 sets from the starter. Also have like the faction expansion box or something like that, or however it's called. And so yeah, now when I need a change of landscape from my Kings of War stuff or other gaming stuff, I assemble a few Marauders. So I have like, I think 2 or 3 squads now primed and ready to get some paint whenever I feel like it. And it's kind of the idea to reach a small force that I can use for Deadzone and Firefight at some point, like the 3rd army. So I'm not that in a hurry to get it up and running, but it also will be nice. And
I think it's a really fun army to play. It's really balanced. It's got lots of different options. I think it's really good.
I think it looks pretty cool, and it has also nice stories. So it will be a change from Plague and GCPS as well, so that part is exciting. And we're also discussing to record battle reports here locally with Vincent. So let's see how that one goes. Maybe next weekend we'll try to film a battle.
That's really exciting, buddy.
So because there's not that much content for it.
No.
So
the Freaky Gamers in Australia were doing some for a little bit, but I think they went on and played Star Wars Legion, and there's just too many good games. Yep. They were making great videos, but that seems to have dried up. And what will you do? How will you put it out on YouTube? Have you got? Is it going to be under a separate thing? Is it going to be under MUP? Have you thought about it?
No, so I think the Vincent, so the other player I'm doing that with, he's the one who's looking into the video stuff. It's like the podcast. I'm the lazy guy who just speaks in the mic and doesn't do anything else.
Turns up and you can't find your mic.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Not today. Today my podcast mic is somewhere.
Steve Hildrew will be commenting, so we may as well address it now.
Yeah. This one is on me completely. That's I have to admit. No, so it's just like you got a nice handheld camera and stuff like this, and I think we tried to record some Kings of War games already, to experiment with how it works and so on. Now we said, hey, let's play Firefight, and we said, oh, let's also maybe film it. It's like, oh, great, that sounds awesome, let's try it. So that's what I have upcoming with Firefight.
That's great. You'll have to share it with me, and I'll get a link in the notes.
Yeah, and also, we have 2 new players that are just getting started now, and so I'm also keeping an eye on them and assisting them with assembling miniatures and maybe building their first lists and playing further games, lending them armies if they want to in the meantime, because it takes some energy and time to send out your army and get it going to it. In the meantime, I try to take care of them and keep them engaged with the game.
That's great.
So,
I've got a local guy here who's bought the Enforcers Strike Force, and I get the feeling he just really needs instructions, so he's having a rough time. I shared some YouTube videos with him and how-tos and things, whatever I could find, but I think he's someone that really, really likes to have instructions. I think he feels quite uncomfortable he doesn't. I have said to him, seriously, just let me know if you want. I'll come around and give you a hand. I really don't mind. I'm happy to do it. But he's gone quite quiet on it, which isn't a good sign. So I think he's kind of frustrated. So that's a real shame. But
just like make up an excuse, like invite him over like a Saturday afternoon or something to do some hobby, and tell him to bring his stuff to the shop and bring your stuff to the shop. Assemble a few stuff while he's doing his own stuff on the side, and you can help him out. I think
just quickly do his stuff while he's in the bathroom, just subtly.
Sure, that's another way to do that. No, but it sounds dumb. Like I've been assembling models for quite a while, and even before tabletop games, I was assembling model planes and cars and stuff like this. Like I'm quite manual. I like doing that kind of stuff. But not everyone is. Like for some people, like the act of clipping stuff off of a sprue or like figuring out where do I glue things, especially with the Enforcers models, from what I understand, is absolutely not trivial. So we have to remember that there are no instructions with Mantic models, at least not with these ones. And so even if you have the best wheel in the world, if you've never done it in the past, it is an actual deterrent.
Mark, you've done a few of those. How did you find the Enforcers?
Well, instructions would be nice. The one thing you got to remember is putting the legs on the regular Enforcer-based troops. They're come in match sets, and they're lettered. So hot tip, take a look at the sprue and try to get the matching legs together on each of the individual guys. The other thing, too, is I mounted the legs one at a time. So I tried to get it to where they're standing up a little bit, and then I let it dry, and then I went back and then put the other leg on and tried to pose it a little better as I put them on the stand. It's not perfect, but yeah, I didn't find building them a big joy whatsoever. So, but definitely take a look for the letters for the legs. I've seen that comment a lot out there about building the Enforcers.
So if you
it would have been nice if they were a little more static, in my opinion.
Yeah, so if you cut them off without thinking about it, you're in trouble, right? By that point.
Yeah, you might get lucky. You'll get some wonky legs on that unit, and then you'll know better. And then you'll go ahead and try to match the pairs of legs up. So, but yeah, they're not bad. I mean, but I don't mind painting them after they get done if you get a nice simple paint scheme. So that's what I'm working on with that. So, but I'm not going Enforcers for Adepticon. I'm going Forge Fathers. So I'll work on or I will finally leverage Colin to get those Enforcers are his to get them painted. But he's got an entire Kings of War army to paint yet. So, but more of that in the Kings of War section.
Fantastic. I've built, I think, 1,000 points of Enforcers, and the Pathfinder kits are great. I really love the Pathfinders. It's part of the reason I went really heavy Pathfinder. But the Enforcers themselves are. Some of my Enforcers look very silly, and I've tried my best, but it is what it is.
What have you been up to with Firefight lately, Chris?
Oh, I forgot to mention last month. So Black Friday, I bought 5 boxes of the Matsudan because they were the Deadzone boxes. They were something like 70% off. So that then was the time. Still doesn't actually work out that cheap if you think about it.
Is that you being incapable of resisting 70% off? But you don't need 5 boxes of those in any list, or is that actually you can build a list around them? Like what?
Clem. So what I'm thinking of is down the road. I was thinking about having a weekend narrative story we could play, and what I was thinking of is something like the Maison Labs hack the Asterians' computers or networks. And all of the marionettes and bots get hacked by the Maison Labs or whoever, the baddie in the story. Mm-hmm. And so the actual living Asterians have to kind of fight back and kind of,
interesting,
win back their empire.
Sounds like interesting. I like it.
Yeah. And that's why I spent, I don't know, $70 on
a bunch of big lizards.
But it was, I mean, they're fun to paint. They're really cool. I love the models. And really nice. I am a big Forge Father fan, but I'm a big Asterian fan as well. So, if you see them for that, 70% off or whatever, they're still not that cheap. It's like 50. I think it was about €15 a box or something like that. But it's a heck of a lot cheaper than more.
Yeah, I understand the feeling. I forgot to mention as well the other Firefight thing that I've been doing lately is I played it on Universal Battle 2. It actually went
How did it go?
Actually, quite well. I want to do some work with the skins. So I played GCPS against Plague. So it's again kind of a demo game. So I played with the armies that I know for the demo, and the Plague was done quite well. But the GCPS, could be improved slightly. I mean, it still worked fine, completely fine for our game. And it works surprisingly well on the platform. UB2 works, and we're used to that format in the interface and everything. And to play Firefight, it went okay. We used physical dice for the command dice because I couldn't remember the equivalence for D6 to the command dice. Couldn't find it anywhere online, so that's one more thing I need to figure out if you want to play with UB2, and otherwise it worked great. Yeah, absolutely.
Nice. Were you playing with Vincent?
No, I played with Marcus.
Ah, fantastic.
Yeah, he's back in Greece, and so wanted to try it. And locally, he said they play Armada a lot, like the organizing events for Armada and so on. But Kings of War and Firefight it's a bit harder to find an opponent to play with. But we still wanted to try the game, so that's what we did.
It's really cool.
And playing it online, I think is really nice. Obviously, people were playing more during the pandemic, but I think it's also, when you just have a couple hours and you don't want to go someplace, take your miniatures, set up a table, set up everything, you can do it from home. And even if you get tired, you say, hey, I'm tired, let's save the game. And boom, you're done. You can pick it up later. I think it's a great complement to playing with actual miniatures. Obviously, it doesn't replace the miniatures. Still love plastic toys, but I think it's a good way to try out the game and get a lot more games than if you only play,
Theoretically, I really like the idea, and yet I think the only time I've ever played was with you, Clem. I think I tried once more with somebody else, and the game went on for something ridiculous, like 4 hours.
Yeah, that could happen, yes.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
what about you, Mark? Have you tried Universal Battle 2 or anything online? What do you think?
Alex Coos took the time to get me up to speed on UB, and that's as far as I went with it. So I don't know. I like playing with the actual minis, so I have not gotten into UB. I've also, tried to play Advanced Squad Leader on Vassal and things like that. I've never really been good with the board games on the virtual tabletops, so it just hasn't hit. I don't know what it is. So maybe if I got a really good counter set or something, I
like the idea, but they never find time for it. If I have some extra time, I'd rather just be doing some hobby stuff, I guess.
Yes, I'd rather paint or do something like that. So, and the miniatures we were using, the digital ones were kind of cool, but I was like, I don't know, it didn't grab me. Let's put it that way. So, so maybe if someday when I'm retired, I'll have lots of time on my hands and I will play it. But
and not just retired from countercharge.
Correct. Yeah, I need to be retired from everything so I can sit back and have some time on my hands to go ahead and play that. But I'd rather play in person if I could. So
true.
Fantastic. Yeah, but I think it definitely has its place. Cool. And speaking of Firefight and campaigns. So, Clem, we've been talking about, so the weekend of the 25th is going ahead, so February the 25th. So you, Trent, and just a few other very nice people like Manuel are definitely coming over. We're going to try and get some Firefight played in the local shop.
Yeah.
So we'll hopefully have 4 or 5 tables. We can hopefully get some people seeing some Firefight. And then this is a little bit difficult, but we'll come back to my place when the shop closes and do a little campaign I'm writing for the fate of the Forge Star for real this time. So I think I mentioned last month I've taken the fate of the Forge Star story from the Deadzone rulebook, which I really love the idea of. And I've kind of set events 3 years later, so it's basically a continuation of that. So we're going to fight over a Forge Star and the nearest planet, basically. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. So yeah, going to write some secret objectives and that kind of thing. Keep it relatively simple, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. And it sounds like we've got 4 really nice people as a core. And then I'll try and make it a little bit flexible. So if, people at the shop really love it and they seem nice, say, okay, if you like, you can come back with us and play another couple of games. Just try and keep it a little bit flexible on numbers and that kind of thing. So I'm super excited about that. Really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. So you plan to do a similar thing, right? Like with basically the fluff for the whole event and then some secrets missions and improve a bit on the ones that I did and give it a bit more thoughts.
I wouldn't say improve, buddy. I wouldn't say improve. I'd say try and imitate.
Oh, the second one obviously is going to be more refined and more mature.
As long as I've written, I think I'm pretty happy with the fluff I've written. But as long as it doesn't, because what I'm really nervous about is, we play 2 games and it's sort of like, wait a minute, I'm player A and I'm supposed to be playing player F. There is no player F. Where's Chris?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, but it's, exactly. So I'm thinking game of Firefight, game of Deadzone, big battle.
Yeah.
Not put too much pressure on the weekend. And then if we can manage some games of Kings of War, Ambush.
Sure. At some point. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
At 2 a.m., when we're wrapping up the Firefight stuff and are too excited to sleep, just a quick ambush game.
Exactly. We need to also leave some time to eat some roast duck and that kind of thing.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's going to be spring, right? Like it's February, it's already spring, so it's probably something.
Perfect.
It's barbecue season.
Yeah. Okay. No, we could get the barbecue out. That's acceptable. Yeah, that would be doable.
Let's see.
Yeah. So it's Mark. It's a 50% gaming and 50% food, and it's quite interesting because both Clem's and my wife are vegan, or largely vegan, let's say. So every time Clem and I meet up, we go absolutely bananas. Goes the
on the
other way.
vegan food or on the regular food?
No. I mean, the things we eat may be vegan. Who knows?
I love vegan food. It's just that's kind of what we cook usually. Although these days we've been not so good with it. But yeah, sometimes when it's a party, bring in the cheese and bring in the pig, bring in the ducks, everything. I mean, I have to love food to keep my French passports when you live abroad. Otherwise, they take it away from you at some points. So yeah, that's nice.
Absolutely. Oh, and what have I done for Firefight? So I have also, I got, and partly, I'll be honest, partly for this weekend coming up, I've got 2 large boxes of Mantic sci-fi terrain. My 3D printer hasn't worked for like 4 months, so obviously I'm desperate to paint some more terrain. So I've built quite a lot of that this weekend, and I've painted it with the airbrush, and I think it looks kind of cool. It's very, very easy. Thanks, buddy. And I also built the Mark Like You for Christmas. I got the Veermin Strike Force box, and I built the tank thing, but I built it as the APC variant. So it'll carry some nightmares or whatever they're called, I think. That seems to be the way to do it. But if you're going to play the Veermin, I think it just makes sense to have an underground armoured personnel carrier that can come up from somewhere and make a charge. That sounds really cool, right? And that's something the other factions can't do. So rather than just having another tank, Of
course, yeah.
If you're going to have a tank, you may as well be the Forge Fathers, right?
Or GCPS soon.
Or GCPS soon, yeah. I will be doing that. Seriously, their tank looks so cool in the art. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'm looking forward to that kit for sure.
Fantastic.
Let's hope that tank is released when Tanks comes out. Everybody's hyped up for that. So
yeah,
I'd love to see every faction get an armored vehicle.
It seems like a mistake if that's not there for tanks. It's okay. We're all playing tanks. Not you, GCPS. Your tank's not ready yet.
We're
doing a later expansion with air fighting. You'll get your tank then.
Yeah.
Get back in your mules, boys.
Mind you, Clem, you and your trick of your flipping medics in the mule, though. Oh goodness me!
That's how you do it.
That's how you do it.
I think playing the medic right is really crucial to GCPS, because I realized when you have 2 in range, I think you get resilient 2. I think it does stack. I think I
read on Fnatic someone said it stacks.
Yeah, and that resilient 2 is huge. Like it really does a difference. And so, it's really about running those guys around. And like last game I played on newbie, actually the Riot Troopers, I think they lost probably 10 guys or something, and there are 5 guys in the unit to begin with. And they lost 10 of them because of the medic, reviving 2 of them every turn and bringing them back in the fight.
I couldn't quite put enough damage on them to take them off. So they just kept coming back and coming back.
You don't wipe the unit, and if it doesn't fail its nerf test once it's broken, next turn I have 2 medics nearby, and 2 dudes will come back to life, and 2 more the next turn. And
those cowardly, sneaky humans, honestly.
That's how you do it. What can I say?
That's us.
They're tough.
That's us.
They're tough fighters. Like you thought they were dead, but nope, they come back. It's like Rambo, and they come back.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, Mark, when is Adepticon?
Adepticon is March 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, I think.
Oh, wow, it's coming around quick.
So, yeah, it's coming up at the end of March, so very exciting. I was very happy that Colin managed to not schedule any classes on Thursday and Friday this year, so we're going to be for this semester, so we'll be able to take off early and get going. So excited about that. So, yeah, I'm really ready. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. Most of the games for Adepticon have sold out already. So it's just absolutely amazing. So it's going to be a great time. I think they're going to need a new and bigger venue coming up sometime in the future. I don't know where they're going to go. Maybe the Stevenson Center, who knows? But it's just we've expanded to 2 hotels now. So all the historical guys got kicked out to another hotel, which stinks actually, because I usually really enjoyed walking through and seeing all the historical minis and things like that. But 40K just and Age of Sigmar just kind of take over the place. And but Mantic's got a great spot up on the 2nd floor in the Utopia Ballroom. So hopefully we can squeeze out a couple of the smaller games there and get a little bit more space. So, but we've got an excellent spot. So hopefully we can just stay rooted there and continue to grow. So
that's great.
And am I making this up? Is it in Minneapolis?
It's in Chicago.
Yeah,
it's in Chicago. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. It's actually in the city of Schaumburg. So it's at the Schaumburg Convention Center. So
amazing. Fantastic.
Very, very nice. Oh, absolutely.
Mark, you'll have to come back on the pod and talk to us with your battle reports. Come on, Board Fathers.
Oh, no. I'll definitely come back and fill in the fighter fight section on how you're listed, Chris.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Very quickly, you subtly changed the tone of that to, is all Chris's fault?
I told you it's going to be the general piloting the list. It's the same thing for Kings of War. This is not a list building game. It's a general game. So
I promise I put more thought into this than I do any of my lists. And I'm sure Clem will back me up on that. I've remembered inspiring. You've got 3 guys with inspiring. Yes.
I mean, the list you wrote me for Deadzone were perfect, Chris. So thank you for that. So Mark, I can vouch for Chris' list building skills when it's for someone else. So,
there you go. Perfect. Yeah, that's the one thing. I think the Deadzone championships could be sold out. So I know we're on the wait list for
amazing.
the Clash of Kings, but it's going to be great. The Mantic Games are really doing well. So it should be a very exciting time.
And that's a big change on the sci-fi side as well, I think, by the sound of it, right? It feels big that Firefight and Deadzone are doing so well.
Yeah, the Armada tournament sold out, I think, 28 players, something like that. So
amazing.
That one's a surprise.
That's serious stuff. 28 players, blame me.
Yeah. So people, Armada's popular. So I know Rob's playing in Armada. So I usually do not play in tournaments at Adepticon, and I'm going to be playing in 2 of them. So I figure I've done my duty. So it should be pretty good. But I'm planning on running into Brandon Rossbond and the guys over there and checking things out. So I might look at the Deadzone one, but I don't play Deadzone very often. So it's just a good time. But that's the way I like to play tournaments. It's like the games I don't play very often. We are going to try to get Dreadball at night. I think Saturday night before Mantic night. So they're thinking about setting up a little quick Deadzone or Dreadball league. So could get a couple of games in. So that'll be fun.
Fantastic.
So, absolutely.
I've got Dreadball. I've never actually played it, but it looks like a really good game.
Yeah, I played it early on when it came out, and then I played it at Origins last year. So I will need some help with the rules, but I came pretty close to winning the game last year at Origins. So it's fun. Again, it's competing for your time, which is more fun. That's the big thing. So, that's like Mars Attacks, a lot of fun, too. We had fun with that when it came out, but, there's only so many hours in the day. So.
What with Mars Attacks? So I think I've got technically some models for that because they came in one of the Isolation Protocol boxes. So was it just the humans versus the Martians? Were there only 2 factions in the game?
Yeah, basically that was it. So, but I went big on that. So I've got the crashed saucer and the big bots and, all the different guys. And, it's basically army soldiers versus the Martians. So, but I think they lost the license for that, and so they had to stop selling it. But it was kind of a cool game. It's actually a little bit Deadzone-like. So it's very, very interesting. I have not pulled it out in years. It's sitting in a drawer over here. I've never put any paint on any of the models. But there are some pretty cool models in there. Mike and John Carter actually did a Martian army for Kings of War, or maybe it was for Walking Dead, or one of those. I think it was Walking Dead and the Martians for Kings of War, but it was a pretty cool army. We'll have to see if Mike hears the pod, and he'll throw up some pictures in the Facebook group. That'd be kind of cool. So
fantastic. Yeah, I had a couple of the just the human vehicles that I used for Walking Dead, and they were lovely kits. They were really, really nice vehicles. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, very nice. So I don't think that they sell those anymore, but they do sell the brick kits, those brick modern kits that they're selling and things like that. That's from Mars Attacks. They're kind of like the Deadzone terrain. Yeah, that is from Mars Attacks.
Are they nice kits, Mark?
Yeah, they're pretty nice. I mean, they're very square, but, they're exactly like the Deadzone terrain, except it's red brick as opposed to the more armored panels and things like that for Deadzone.
Oh, interesting. Oh, quite tempted to pick some up now you've said that.
Fantastic. Yeah, hey, fantastic. Maybe you'll see some. Maybe they'll bring some of them to Essen, and you can check them out.
Perfect. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
so this is a shout out to Martin. Bring some red brick for Clem and Chris to check out.
Fantastic. And then so I played some Deadzone this month.
Yeah. What did you do?
So I think I've actually got a pretty good Asterians list that's pretty settled. It's the Spectre Blade Master, I think 3 Kalishi, and then just some, bog standard bots to just hold objectives. I think there's a couple of sniper rifles in there. That's pretty. I think that list is pretty set and it's pretty good.
Is that 150 or 200 when you play?
200 points. Yeah, 200 points, which I always play at 200 points, and I think you have too, buddy.
I've been playing 150
points.
I played a couple of games as well recently against the Armin, with the new local player, and with my GCPS. It was nice. But we played 150, I think.
Nice. Yeah, 200 lets you take a few of the toys. Yeah, right. It is a big difference, obviously. But and I actually played my first game of Enforcers, which was mostly Pathfinders, and it was a very shooty list. I didn't think I had a way of taking out the Spectre Blade Master, to be honest. But it turns out if you get a jet bike and fly it up to the top of a tower and then just machine gun down at the Spectre Blade Master, that'll kill it. I spent a shoot die, so it got to attack twice. Takes all its shields out, and there you go. Yeah. So, but I had ridiculously good dice. It was a little bit funny. I just kept rolling 8s, as you do.
That's how you win at this game.
That's exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I'm not going to get good at the game, so just rolling 8s, exactly. But it was we had a really good time. So really, really fun down at the local shop again, so other people could see. I did this month as well. I did more demos again. Yeah, just really cool. Just love that game. And very shortly going to have some more terrain. I'm arranging this month. Me and my local friend, he's going to bring his brother and a couple of friends along, and I'm going to show them the game. And my friend's kind of comfortable with the rules enough now that if we all just share a table, he's happy. If I play one game with a new person, he plays another game sitting next to us. He's kind of comfortable enough with and steady enough with the rules that he's fine to do that. So hopefully we're going to have a few local players, which is where all this has been leading to. So I'm really excited about that, to be honest. And they're just nice people as well. So it's exactly what you want, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's how it works.
Yeah, fantastic. So shall we move on to our Pannithor Kings of War stuff?
Let's do it.
Nice. Clem, you've been working on Salamanders, but you might need to get to that in the next section, and Empire of Dust, unless I'm mistaken.
Yes. So I got some EODs from the Sands of Amun starter. And I wasn't too sure what to do with them initially, and then I thought, you know what? If I just get a couple of models on top of that, I can make 1,000 point ambush list, and it'll be like a good change from what I already have, or it's something I can very easily lend to someone else for games. And so yeah, that's what I started. And that's also surprisingly my first multi-based army that I will actually finish, because I have some undead multi-based, but they're like halfway through or less. Yeah, so I also spent some time finding nice resin printed customization bits to put on the bases, like some like a nice cactus here, some dead big beasts someplace, to make some not just a flat empty base for this EOD. So yeah, I mean the kits are quite nice. They paint relatively easily. I'm not painting them in a very sophisticated way anyway. Yeah, so I'm not yet done with them, but getting close. And I got back to doing some salamanders, so I'm painting the lizards now. Yeah, I still haven't received.
Salamanders have lizards? I thought they were just fire elementals.
Most of them, yes. No, I still haven't received my ceremonial guard bits, though, so that part is really annoying. Since early December, that's becoming a bit of an issue, but shipping from and to the UK is not so nice these days, so there's a bit of that. But anyway, so lots of hobbying on my side with the EODs, and I've been building some 10mm snow terrain as well. So like a destroyed church, some crystals, again resin printed stuff, and I printed some dudes for a 10mm Varangur army as well. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting thing to play with at some point. And I'm trying to think, what else did I do for Kings of War? I have a few games planned for next week, actually. I'm gonna play 10mm Kings of War, half-scale Kings of War Wednesday, and possibly Friday, if I manage to negotiate that with my wife. But yeah, no, I'm excited about this.
Is that 2,300 points?
Yeah, I mean, so it depends, right? For some reason, when we started with the half-scale stuff, we decided to try 2,000 points. Like we made 2,000 point lists. So now I have both options for the Salamanders. I have literally the exact same list that I have for 28 mil. That's 2,300. But I also built a different list with basically the same models for 2,000 as well. So yeah, I'll see. I think the first player I'm gonna play with is doing Ratkin. I think he's bringing his rats, and the other one undead. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting games, I think.
Really cool. Yeah, sounds really cool. Where will you play, Clem? Will you play at your place, or will you play at the?
So Wednesday probably at my place, because the local gaming shop, they close a little bit too early, so it's hard to make it to that place after work and still have 2.5 hours to play. They close at 7 on Wednesday, so that's slightly too early.
It's annoyingly early, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just
close
a
at
bit too
8
early.
on Tuesday and Thursdays, but we don't have these days available to play. So yeah, either at my place or the guy I'm playing with also has a table at home, so maybe you can also take my army in a sandwich box almost, or like a biscuit box, and go to his place instead. So that's quite easy.
Nice. And I was supposed to be talking about a team tournament,
Yes,
Clem, but we didn't go.
that's one way to do it.
That saved all kinds of time.
Did we misunderstand last time? Like, because I thought initially like it's a tournament, like a team event, and so you play 2 vs 2 or something like that. But that's not what it was, right? Like,
No, not quite. So we were supposed to have a team of 3, and without going into too much detail, months ago I spoke to the tournament organizer and just said, well, it's just the 2 of us, me and Trent. Is that an issue? And from what I understood is it's fine. We'll figure it out. But then closer to the tournament, it became an issue. And so they were super nice. They're super nice. They're lovely guys. They really are. And they tried to come up with a solution for us, which would have involved us having 2 ringers, but then we wouldn't all play all the games. We'd all have to miss a game. So they really tried their best to kind of make it work. But it was, I spoke to Trent about it and kind of said, well, rather than us doing all that extra driving and the extra money and stuff, maybe we just play local and spend more time playing and less time driving. So it was a shame, to be honest. I've seen some photos. It looked like it was a really great time. But it was like the idea of us going to all that trouble and then only playing 2 games each.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I would have been super excited about like a 2vs2 type of event, right? Like,
Oh, buddy, you know me. This would be my perfect. This would be my perfect tournament. I'd love to play doubles with 1,000 points each or whatever.
Yeah. That's something we should do with Ambush, right? Like everyone bring a 1,000 point ambush list, and then you play 2vs2 with your ambush list.
Let's do it in Feb. Let's just do that.
Sounds like a good thing to do. Yeah.
We'll find the time for that. That's such a cool idea.
So what did you play instead?
Yeah, so we played Ambush.
Nice.
So we went down to the local shop and we played. So this was interesting. It all kind of balanced out in the end. So I played Salamanders, Clem. I made my list in the morning, the same as Trent. So it's kind of rushing to get ready. Made a 750 point list. But it turns out the greater fire elemental does not have inspiring, and he was the only thing I had in my list that has inspiring, quote unquote. And so got to the shop, put everything out, and went uh-oh. And Trent, being as nice as he is, he was like, "Asshole, let's just play with it. That it has inspiring, it's fine."
And it still kicked your butt.
Well,
why don't you take 200 points more, please, just so that it's
exactly. But this is the issue. So Trent had noticed. So again, he was rushing, and he was a little bit late because he forgot I live a bit further away from them than he remembered. So he was kind of rushing, and Mantic Companion was coming up with an error message, but he was in a rush, and never mind, it's fine. So when we got there, we realised the issue he had was he hadn't realised that everything with fly is irregular. So his list was also. Technically, I had a legal list. It's just. So that was a bit of a shame, but we just said, fine. So he had, let's see if I can remember, two regiments of earth elementals. He had a regiment of air elementals. He had the Glade Walker Druid with Surge and something else. And then he had a regiment of the Scorchwings. Hmm? So I was looking at that. I was pretty nervous, I've got to be honest. And I had 3 regiments of fire elementals, the greater fire elemental, which was broken because it had inspiring.
Yep, it's great.
And I think I had 2 troops of the Ember Sprites.
Nice. Mm-hmm.
So other than the fact I didn't have any inspiring, it worked really well. I honestly thought the Forces of Nature list was really, really strong, right? Defense 6 and the air elementals, but it was pretty. The first game was a pretty comfortable win for the Salamanders.
What scenario did you play? Do you remember which scenario you played?
Yeah, we played Invade. Yeah, classic. I normally play Invade or Control, right? They're my 2 favorite ones, and. It was interesting. So basically, fire elementals and the greater fire elemental, although they are hitting on 4s, or potentially 5s, they were really good against the earth elementals. Even though they were being healed, which was really powerful. Healing defense 6 is massive, right? But But what we found was it seems like the fire elementals can take a punch from the air elementals, which are really fast, and then when they hit back, so that kind of hitting on 4s with defense 5 was just working really, really well. And then what was really cool is we swapped, and then Trent beat me with my own list, basically. I charged, I used the Ember Sprites to shoot off, and actually I remember this game much better because it was just absolutely crazy game. I used the Ember Sprites troop to shoot off, I got lucky with the roll and shot off the, the flying, I've forgotten what it's called now. Scorch Wings, thanks buddy, which gave me a bit of a window to charge. So I charged the anyway, never mind. I'm going into far too much detail, and now I'm realizing I'm forgetting everything. But it was an unbelievably exciting game. It was so cool. Yeah, so playing Ambush is fantastic. Yeah.
And so how does it work now at the shop? Do they have did you leave some terrain there, or do you bring the terrain also when you go play?
I didn't, because I didn't have my ogres ready. So I've got my ogres ready now. So I've got probably about 1,000 points of ogres specifically done for Ambush. I'm going to do my EOD stuff as well. So that's pretty high up the to-do list. And then once I've got those two things, I might have to add a couple of things, as you said, Clem, to my EOD. But anyway, never mind. But then my idea is I'll leave that stuff with a map, with a bit of terrain, and the big red book in the shop, and just run some demos and just try and get some people interested. But it's me and Trent were having so much fun. People were just coming over and going, "What the heck are you guys up to?" I'm assuming that's what they were, It was but yeah, we were laughing so much. We were by far the loudest people in the shop, which I think is usually a pretty good sign, right? So yeah, people were coming up and saying, "Oh, I've played Warhammer Fantasy Battle before." So no, it's looking really promising. It makes such a difference just playing out in the wild, right, and letting other people see what you're up to. Really, really does. So I think for the longest time, that's the biggest mistake I've been making, which is just getting people and playing in the basement here where no one can see us doing that.
Yep. Hopefully.
Good point. Yes. Yes. There are even bars on the windows of the basement room we play
unless you have hidden cameras or stuff like this in your basement or whatever.
Not to my knowledge, buddy. Not to my knowledge. Yeah. So, but Trent is. I just can't say enough nice things about him. He's just a lovely, lovely man to spend time with. He's great fun to play. He's just when something's close, he's always insisting it goes to the other person. He's just a great guy, to be quite honest with you. So, great fun. And Trent will be joining us on the weekend in February for our sci-fi weekend. So that's very much something to look forward to. But Trent's absolutely great. But and as I said, I've done quick and dirty. I've done round about 1,000 points of ogres for Ambush, and
you've done like basically 2 starters worth of them, right?
So I've done the starter box plus what I ended up doing was getting it was actually a Vanguard Warband set,
right? Yep. I think
which comes with the Paymaster. Yeah, because basically what I did was I was kind of a bit too ambitious with the so I was using 2 ogres for a regiment instead of 3, and then I thought the bases looked a little bit too empty, so I just wanted a few ogres to kind of bulk them out. But I'm really happy. I think I paid about €24 for that box set with the Paymaster and about I think it came with about 8 ogres in there. They're the old Restic sculpts. But as you say, Clem, other than their legs being a little bit small, they look great. They're next to the new ogres. They look really, really cool. There's a resin hero in there that is a really nice model. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll use that probably as a warlock, but it doesn't really matter. It's a really, really nice kit, that. So, so that works really well. I think Mark asked me what I did for the bases. And it was super, super simple. It's kind of what I did for my Salamanders and just changed the colours, to be quite honest. So I just basically I got some MDF base, glued magnetic foil to the underside of it, obviously, so it's then magnetised. And then I got a load of I think it's called DAC modelling clay. It's from Italy, but you could use Milliput, whatever you want to use. And I kind of put a bit of water on the base so this modelling clay stuff would stick. Apparently, otherwise it doesn't actually stick. And then I kind of moulded it to make it look sort of hilly, as you do. Tried to make it look kind of like natural terrain. And then I got just a bit of broken resin. When you buy resin models and you've got those little sticks that lead into kind of the big thick base bit. Snapped some of those off and then just stabbed into this modelling clay just to create some kind of texture in there. And then I just got some PVA glue and glued some sand on there and that kind of thing. And then just painted it black. There was some reds, some greys, and then just dry brush the heck out of it. And then, stick a few tufts on there. I had a go at pinning, which is the first time I've ever done it, and very quickly lost patience. Mm-hmm. So I think my strategy from now on with pinning is going to be, as the models break off, I'm going to go, okay, I'm pinning that one. And see how I get on. So that's my strategy of pinning, of not pinning. Let's see how that goes. But it was cool. And honestly, doing ogres, it was so quick. It was so fun to do. Really easy, nice big models to paint, loads of surface area. It's really, it was a good time. Yeah, good time. So I'm looking forward to painting the EOD stuff.
Nice. So it means we can also, when I come visit, we can play your ogres against my EOD and see how it goes.
Yeah. It's like playing the bit of the story. That's a really cool idea. Yeah, nice. Yeah. And I've got a kind of I've got kind of a wastelandy. So I've got either a map with kind of a shoreline on it and some water, or which is also quite sort of sandy, or I've also got kind of a wastelandy type one which we played on before. So I've definitely got a map that will look suitable. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
What about you, Mark? What have you been up to for Kings of War these days?
Oh, well, ambush, that's been it. Colin and I are playing the 500-point games. I have dragged him out of retirement, so we've been having some fun with that. And unfortunately, COVID got in the way and slowed all our progress. So hopefully all this talk of Adepticon will get everything rekindled. So it's been fun. It's great to pull the armies out. I now have my EOD and my Basileans that I have worked on. They both hit the table, which is nice. I've got some ogres I got to rebase. I have some dwarfs I have to rebase. And if you guys take a look right there, I'm working on the Abyss right now. So nice. I am working on Abyssal ambush force right now. So I have 2 regiments of succubi, I think, a couple of troops of flame bearers, a Freet, and an Abyssal champion, I think, and nice. The special character from Edge of the Abyss. So
the flying.
I'm going to be putting her together too. So.
Yep.
Was that Matsubutsu or something like that, or have I made that up?
Matsubutsu, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was close. Nice, fantastic.
Absolutely. So, the name escaped me, but she's a nice little model. So I've been waiting to paint that for a long time. So I'm just putting that little thing together, and then we'll see, a little bit about what we're going to be doing for the year. But my countercharge, Rob posted up that, what are your hobby commitments? So that I'm going to do 4 500-point Kings of War ambush armies this year. So that's always been my jam. And I'm just excited that people are excited about small point games of Kings of War. I'm so used to getting made fun of for that. And I've been championing it since first edition. And finally, everybody's getting on board. Ronnie's finally getting the kits out with the, with the multi-bases in it and everything, which is just awesome. So I have my Goblin kit coming. I just ordered it this morning, so that'll be coming along. So I'm excited to check that out.
Are you feeling a bit validated? Because it seems like, particularly in the US, it seems like it's always like bigger means better.
Absolutely, I feel that way. So, but also feeling a little guilty from you guys talking about going to play in the shop and seeing. We've got a shop down the road, and I guess we could go, but I'd feel better getting through COVID. But then again, I guess I should be pretty proof from it here for a little bit. But it's so easy for us just to throw everything out and play in 45 minutes and everything's cleaned up in an hour. And we've been doing it forever. So for us, it's a nice Friday night or Saturday night game. So it's always a good time. So, but yeah, a little validation. It's good. I'm glad everybody's enjoying it because it is fun. I really enjoy it. And, for us, we name the people that are in the armies and things like that. We had some narrative over the years. Colin wrote a campaign. Back in early second edition, was it? Something like that. He had a really cool campaign that he did off of an old Warhammer campaign. He changed the whole thing. So he actually played a lot of that solo, and then I would come down and play the enemy army every once in a while. So it was kind of cool. He was writing I wouldn't say he was writing a book, but he was just writing a story. I don't know what ever happened to that, but
he was just writing what he was interested in. If anyone's interested, Mark, if he can help us out with some lore, see what he thinks. If it's
sure.
That'd be amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's got Colin von Karstein. He can't get away from Warhammer on that. So, as a matter of fact, that's his Adepticon army. What is it called here? The Return of, Colin von Karstein's Return. That's the name of his force.
That's really
as of
cool.
right now. He's excited about it. So, but he's done baggage trains and all sorts of stuff. So there were, we played a lot of cool Warhammer scenarios over the years. So it'd be nice to see those go in there. One of the other things that we're playing around with that we haven't done yet, but that we have talked about doing, and I'll bring it up here on the pod, maybe somebody else will do it, is try playing the Vanguard scenarios in Ambush. See if we can
idea.
See if we can tweak those and see if we can make them work, So I think that would be kind of cool because they've got like Light the Fire, the baggage train, Rescue the Damsel.
The Dragon Egg. There's one about a giant.
Egg. Yeah. So can we take those and, use them in 750, 500 point games, on the 4x4, on the 3x3 actually for Ambush too. So, so I haven't done it yet. That is on my to-do list. So now that I've said it on the pod, I'm going to have to try to do that in the next month.
Next time.
So, yep.
I mean, at some point we'll forget, like Chris forgot to ask me about my Deadzone terrain, which is not painted.
I didn't tease you about the Deadzone terrain.
It's still not
and
painted.
I've been painting Deadzone terrain myself.
I know, and I kept quiet. I was like, it's coming. I'm going to see ink. I'm going to see criticism, and nothing. I was like,
what a disappointment.
Yeah, I'm just distracting him, Clem.
Thank you, Mark. Yeah, that's what's going on. You can't bully me when you're here.
Speaking of which, I know we're in the Kings of War section, but why is the one piece of terrain painted blue?
Huh?
On the roof or something like that, Chris? Didn't you do something?
My one. Yeah, there is a reason.
You went out of orange.
What are you going to tell us?
It was It was just I'd forgot to stick a roof on the building, and I'd already painted it. And I was consulting my color wheel, going, I need some extra color here. And so I was like, let's try that as blue. It's the opposite of orange on the color wheel. Give it a try.
I mean, it's a happy planet, right? Like the GCPS is a good corporation, and they care about the happiness of their citizens.
I was thinking,
and the sky is not visible with all the smoke, and so they paint the top part of the building blue so that you think there's a blue sky.
No, seriously, Clem, that is
people.
exactly what I was thinking with the buildings.
Yeah.
I was thinking, obviously, like I've never been, but the favelas of Brazil, like the slums, they paint them really, really bright, beautiful colors.
Yep. That's how you do it. Yeah.
Everything's fine. Your life's fine.
Yeah, it's bright colors.
Everything's fine. You're right. Like horrible toxic smoke coming out the top of them, but they're lovely bright colours. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds nice.
And before I forget to mention it, Mark, your Abyss army you just mentioned, that sounds really fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I've got the base red down. I'm using Mephiston red from that, and I'm trying to do this as a little bit of a speed paint project. So I'm using Dead Black from Warpath, and then I've got the plate mail, and then I'll hit it with some Null Oil and just, do it nice and simple and quick. So that's what I'm working on. I'll do a little bit more on Matabusu there. I'll do her a little nicer in the characters, but I'm just trying to throw them on the base. And then, I also have some of the imps, so I'll probably get a unit of imps at least done. And then I've got a huge Abyss army that I never painted from the 2nd edition Kickstarter. So the scheme is really easy to paint, and I think pretty effective. I mean, they're kind of demon type of things. Who cares, right?
It's classic. It's classic red demons.
Yeah,
it's classic. Why not?
Why not? And I love the Molochs. I love the way they look. So especially the one from Dungeon Saga. He's my favorite. So, maybe I can get a unit of them. I know that they're much maligned because of their base size, but, for me, that doesn't affect me that much. I'm just doing it for fun.
They work pretty well also from the gaming perspective. I love the model as well. Like, I have 2 hordes of them. And, they're great.
Nice.
I think some people prefer the cavalry, but it's a question of taste, I think, in the end. And otherwise, the Sukubai is just amazing. I think in gameplay... they're quite the glass cannon thing, right? Like you need to use them as a threat projection element, and then once they hit something, if you chose your target properly, they destroy things. But they also die to a slight breeze. So, but they're super fun army. They're super nice.
Do you think that more people would take them if they were on 40 mils?
The Morlocks?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they would have a slightly smaller footprint. But I have the impression it's just a different approach from the cavalry, right? But I like both units, to be honest. It's just it's some diversity also on how you can play the army. So, and I think when you look at competitive lists, you do see Molochs as well. So some people complain about the base size maybe, but they still they don't get completely ignored. If you can take them with an embrace.
That's good to hear.
They're definitely good enough for us, right?
Oh yeah, no.
The problem is definitely going to be our play, not the units.
Yeah, no.
Not that they weren't 5% better or whatever.
They're maybe a bit slow. They're speed 7 only, I think, right? Yeah. I haven't played Abyssal since so long, I don't remember. But if you want to boost them, you can take the option to make them fearless and gain brutal or gain something else, I don't remember. Again, let's be wrong on something just to annoy everyone. You gain vicious, or you already have vicious. No, but they are pretty strong, I think. The same for the Sukubai, like especially now that there's no portion of the caterpillar, the 20 points or whatever option to get those regiments Pathfinder is really interesting. Like my competitive list, it had like 4 regiments of the Sukubai with the Pathfinder upgrade, and they are scary because they die easily, but they do project a lot of threats, right? Like you don't want to take these to the front because they ensnare, and the Pathfinder, so they're waiting for you in the forest, and then if one of those regiments finds a flank, they kill whatever they touch.
Oh yeah, they pump out a lot of attacks.
Yeah. Once you get into combat, right? Particularly if you've got some Bane Charm.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you need to have what is called the Warlock. Like my small fighting unit is 2 regiments of them with the Pathfinder upgrade, and a Warlock to inspire and Bane Chants whenever you need to get a small boost. But otherwise, without the Bane Chants, they're slightly struggling against higher defense things. Then volume of attack really, at some point, still works, right? Even without any crushing, you can kill defense 6 stuff. It just takes you more attacks. But it does work in the end.
If you charge something that's hitting on 4s naturally, with the ensnare now they're hitting on 5s, so the amount of damage they're doing back to you is is probably not going to be that great. So yeah, fantastic. I think that's just such a cool unit. I just think it's really fun. It's really exciting.
Yeah, and I like the kit as well. Like
cool models. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. And it's not technically we don't have a section for it, but Trent and I were planning on playing a game of Armada last weekend or whenever it was. And we ran out of time, as we always do. But off the back of that, I found myself just looking at some Salamander ships. And going, oh, maybe I would like a Salamander fleet. But Trent was saying, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had a weekend playing Ambush and a game of Armada and a massive battle? And it was like, Trent, you're literally reading my mind right now. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure you can come up with cool links between the games and try different things. That sounds like an interesting thing to try out.
Yeah, exactly. And he's currently rebasing a 30-something unit undead army.
Oof.
I think it's almost all Mantic. I think it's all Mantic except for the whites, because he hated the metal whites, which is, totally fair enough. He gave it a go. It didn't work, and he's gone for some GW sculpts instead. But he's going to have a huge undead army, Clem. So I could really see us, with our 2,300 points of Salamanders each, I could see us.
Yeah, 8x4, 5,000
exactly
per side.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. Yeah. With a game of Armada and a load of Ambush in there as well. That sounds like a fun weekend, right?
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like Armada, it's not exactly alternate activations, but you because otherwise you could have two tables at the same time, and then one side plays one table while the other side plays the other table, and then you swap all the time, and you have two battles going on at the same time.
Something like that would be sweet.
But for Armada, it doesn't work because it's not so clear cut. And depending on the wind or whatever, like the orientation, ship's activation is a bit more random. Yeah, but I'm sure there's some cool things to invent there.
The other great thing about that would be just time, like how much time it all takes. So, maybe we could have small teams, like teams of 3 people each. So maybe, like I always think back to a Star Wars film. You've normally got a battle on a planet. You've then got some sneaking around a space station.
Yep.
You'll have a lightsaber duel and maybe some spaceships shooting each other, and they all happen kind of at the same time.
Yep.
So that's the kind of thing I sort of think about with having the different elements going on.
That's an option too, yeah.
And it could be, obviously in the game of Armada, it could be, well, if a supply ship gets sunk, obviously we could do a custom scenario or whatever, then maybe it has an impact on the battle that's taking place. I mean, there's obviously a way that we could do that it would have a subtle feel impactful without completely skewing it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you want people to scream from one table to the other, like, can you please sink that ship? I'm struggling in Kings of War right here. I need your supports, man.
Yeah, wouldn't that be cool, though? Like, sink that ship for us to win us the war. Like, wouldn't that be so cool, though?
I mean, I can see it more like between Deadzone and Firefight. Like, please reach that damn tower and launch the orbital
disable the
bombardment.
shields. Yeah,
disable the shields from that building or something like that. And then, it's so because what you do then is you can have quite asymmetrical scenarios. Like the Firefight table starts with a big disadvantage to one side. Then the Deadzone game on the other table slightly brings the balance the other way around at some point. So then the Firefight guys know they have to, survive for a couple of turns while the Deadzone is coming to the rescue or something like this. I don't know. I'm sure you can come up with
Yeah, definitely. Just obviously making sure it's balanced so it's fun for everyone is important. Yeah. But at the same time, like if I end up getting hammered in a game, I don't really have a chance in. I don't mind that.
Yeah.
I'll take that on the chin. I don't mind.
Yeah, not make it too bonkers, but just have some reasons to avoid interaction between the tables. I think is the main goal.
Well, I think it was on our Firefight weekend you wrote, Clem, wasn't it? It was my friend Chris ended up getting like a Jotum weapons platform for his Forge Fathers. But what I loved about that is we discussed the game before, we discussed what the end result was, and then we all agreed what was a fair thing to happen from that.
Yeah.
So we went with what felt was right, and we had the nice people that are going to be fair with that. They're not trying to make this something else. This is just fun, right? Yeah. So we're able to do that where we can correct things on the fly. And to be honest, if we were playing a game, I mean, like in our big Siege game, I felt like we did that actually, where we kind of like corrected things as we went.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think we had the ice bolt firer things, the ice bolt. What are they called?
Yeah, whatever. I don't know.
for the Northern Alliance, ballista type things.
Yeah.
And I think Manuel was asked, well, why don't you have those as wall upgrades? They're cheaper. Like, oh, thanks, buddy. Sure, we'll do that.
Yeah, and then
was,
place them in the towers and then
was
cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like we just have the right kind of people that will just automatically balance things as we go in a sensible way.
Yeah, I mean, for those type of games, obviously, right. It's just because maybe we're not good tournament players, and so we can't really, play to go and grab the latest detail from the rule or figure out what you can use properly to win games. So we play narrative instead, right? Isn't that how it goes? Because you suck at narrative, then you play it's a competitive, you play narrative. Isn't that what the competitive players say?
Yeah, exactly. We're just rubbish at the game, so we're just making excuses.
So that's why you're checking it.
We didn't want to win anyway, Clem. It's fine. Who wants to win,
Oh, yeah. Like that.
What is this, 1996?
Hey, narrative's the way to go. It's a lot of fun. And if you think about it, your super competitive players, how many tournaments are there? There's only so many winners, right? It's like how many people can play in the orchestra versus how many people play instruments across the world, right?
Totally.
So there's very few people at the very pinnacle of the top. So, and I don't ever pretend that I'm ever going to be there despite how long I've been playing. That doesn't matter. I don't have the time to devote to it, study everything and move on. It's like, just have some fun.
There's a lot of truth to that, Mark. Yeah, if I was trying really hard, I still don't think I'd win. And then how would I feel if, feeling in a tournament where I came 8th instead of coming 12th or whatever and go, God, I really tried at this.
Yeah. I mean, isn't it better? Like, you don't give it too hard of a try and you end up 12th, versus you try hard and end up 8th. I know what I choose.
It's exactly right. My self-esteem can't take that.
Yeah. Like, I suck on purpose.
Absolutely. Hey, and Mark, talking about, you just mentioned narrative there. So obviously you're going to the Adepticon team tournament. So Colin is taking Undead.
Yes.
And you're not sure who you're taking yet, but it's probably Ogres or the Abyssal Dwarves. What do you think then? So narrative speaking, why would those armies be fighting together, do you think?
Well, we haven't written the story yet, but we certainly will do that. And I think we've picked out our display board that we're going to use to, display both armies together. So we're excited about that. The only thing, it's heavier than hell, but we'll bring it. And it's a lot of fun. So we'll write something together. I mean, the Abyssal Dwarfs and the Undead, that one's a little easier, but the Ogres and the Undead, we'll have to figure out. I was also toying with bringing Empire of Dust, and then we were going to be Wet and Dry. Was going to be our team name. So
that's really cool.
So we'll see. That's a possibility because I have that 500 point EOD army already painted up, and actually I have an extra troop of cav. So we might do that, and if we do that, then we'll be Wet and Dry. So, but we'll see. I'm still kind of working on it, but I'm thinking. I'd love to get my ogres rebased, so it would give me a great excuse to do it. So, that's the one big thing. And then I got to find, I'd have to modify a couple of the models for siege breakers, because I really would like to have some siege breakers. So.
Fantastic. But I think with Undead, most of the army is basically a tool, right? It's, so probably the most important thing is actually the necromancers, and presumably they could have quite a lot of personality. So maybe it's not so much why is the undead allying with ogres, let's say, but I could imagine a necromancer, and bear in mind you can have live necromancers. There could be, just some evil wizard guy, or it could be Jarvis, but so there's obviously a wide range of who your necromancer could be. And why not? Why couldn't a necromancer hire Smogon mercenaries? And then obviously summon his undead army as he goes when he needs to,
Absolutely, yeah. It'll definitely be all driven by Colin von Karstein, so whatever. He's named himself as the Revenant champion. So
Nice.
The Revenant King. So it'll be definitely driven by that. So somewhere along there, I'll let him write it. It'll be fun.
That's super cool. If you look back to on the MUP Facebook group, you'll see photos of our massive siege game that Clem wrote. That was the Salamanders and the Northern Alliance, the Fire and Ice against the evil invaders. And we just have two Northern Alliance clansmen just on their own individual bases on the castle walls looking out. And me and my friend Chris decided, okay, that's us. Sending our men out to their doom, that's us. We're cowering in the castle. Good luck, guys. Good luck with that.
Absolutely. Well, that's half the fun of our ambush. We always try to have a champion in each list, and I know it's not optimal, but for us, there should be somebody usually leading it, so you're usually there. So we feel a little bit more involved in everything. So, and we used to name all the ambush armies after the commander, basically. So I've got a pile of those lists around here somewhere. I got to find them. So, but we've been playing for a while, and so it's a good time. But I like the narrative. It just kind of helps drive it a little bit. Like I told you about that campaign that he kind of wrote and did himself. And I would kind of jump in there. So, but for me, that's the real driver.
And the commanders, Mark, are they people from the lore or people you've invented or a bit of both?
More so people we made up, because we play small points. So, the big guys aren't coming out for the little stuff. But I have had Lady Alona in my army before. I've played undead against the undead before. And so I have Lady Alona all painted up. And so she has made the battlefield several times to run around and smack some people. So, but that's the one thing about this army for Adepticon. It is going to be a from scratcher. I finally got Colin giving up his army from first edition. So he's finally given it up, and that's going to go into retirement, and he's going to paint a new army. So I'm hoping he can do it. Yep.
Fantastic.
He's tired of getting bounced. So we've got, so we're working on the list, and then he's got a lot of painting to do. So, and I think it'll be good for him. He needs the project. So it'll be good to give him something to do. And that'll give me hopefully a painting buddy. So.
Nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, fantastic. And as you're painting, you can bounce ideas off each other. And it's just, that's just great father-son time, isn't it? Let's be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andy Sherman, one of the original founders of Mantic Radio / Countercharge, is bringing his son with him, and he's 11. So it's going to be fun. So it's going to be his first tournament. So that's why we're really happy that the Kings of War team tournament is coming back to Adepticon. So it's going to be fun. So nothing like gaming with your kids.
Quite right. Yeah, I think, having said that, I think I will probably pick up the new Dungeon Saga Kids option, get that painted up and get that out, try and play it with the kids.
No, I'm going to pick it up anyways, just because it's supposed to be simpler, and so that's it. Fun, fast,
the kids are just the excuse. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I don't have kids, but there's a solo play version from what I understand, so I'm good to go.
Nice, fantastic. And my daughter was just gluing tufts to things earlier as I was just painting up that terrain, that sci-fi terrain. So, yeah, if they're showing an interest, I'll try and leverage that. Fantastic.
That's it. They'll come to you, Chris. No need to push it. They'll come to you. So.
Yeah, it's really amazing, isn't it? To be honest. Yeah, fantastic. Oh, so Clem, have you started your Salamanders for real?
Yeah, I mentioned it. I think I've posted even a picture of the first guy that I painted. So I basically just used the same color scheme that I did for the 10mm guys. It's just slightly bigger, so there's a few more details.
It's the same guys, just zoomed in a bit more.
Exactly. That's exactly how it is, and it's quite nice. So now I'm almost done with painting the 2 troops of ancients. I mean, all the bases are done. And so now the 2 troops of ancients for my list are almost ready. I need a couple more layers of paint, but they're very soon. And next will be the ceremonial guards, and I think the heroes as well. I need to put some more points.
And
So
sorry to interrupt, Clem. Before I forget again, which inevitably I will, for the ambush force for my Salamanders, I also took a troop of tyrants, or a regiment of tyrants, anyway, whatever the little one is. Mm-hmm. And the regiment of tyrants is so good. So good. So many
in
attacks.
ambush, I think they can do a lot of things, yes.
They were so good, yeah.
That sounds pretty nice. I also have the ones from the army starter, but I haven't. I think I assembled them, but I'm not sure they're primed because they're not.
I'll take them off your hands if you don't want them, buddy.
Oh, I think I'll use them. I don't want to see them against me.
Yeah, my own son.
Yeah, like Tuco Kwemi feeling betrayed by the models that I got initially. No, so I'm trying to finish this army because it's been started for a while now, and also I wanna get some more playing experience with it. Because the plan is to take it to Clash of Kings, so I want to play a few times with it before I do that.
Sense, right?
I'm also now already starting to think about how I put it in the plane, and I think I'll actually build a transport case, a custom transport case display board for the army. I think it will fit in the carry-on and so on. Like I'm trying to give this all a thought. I think it's going to be pretty cool. And,
that sounds amazing. I think as well, actually, there's as Clem told me about it, so he knows very well. There's a website in Spain called Goblin Trader, I think it is, and occasionally they do kind of 30% off or more Kings of War stuff. So I think the next time they have one of those 30% off sales, I think I will actually just pick up some more Salamander stuff, like the resin kits.
Yeah.
Don't really fancy paying full price, but it's 40% off.
Yeah,
35%
I was thinking also getting more elementals, like the fire elementals regiments, might be worth it. And then I need to play with the list a little bit more before I expand further. But
Yeah. But you know me, I just like to have all the stuff, and particularly those tyrants. They're really fun models to paint.
Yeah, they're nice. They're really nice.
Oh, and one thing I forgot to mention back in the appropriate section was someone on Facebook was selling quite a lot of stuff. So it was a EOD, one of the new EOD Mega Army boxes, a Phoenix, and some Salamander ships, which is why I ordered some more Salamander ships. So I just messaged him and said, if you'll post it to Germany, I'll take all that stuff. Unfortunately, I think there's been a Russian hack of the UK postal system. So I think he posted it last week. So let's hope it gets here.
It'll take time, I think. Yeah. I also have a parcel coming from Mantic that is might have arrived here and been lost in my local post office and shipped back, or maybe it didn't even make it yet. It could be either way. So yeah, it's a bit painful these days to deal with shipping from the UK.
Yeah, but as well, just because I think he charged me I think £20 for a Phoenix, and that Phoenix kit is beautiful. It's one of my favourite models. Sure, I'll have another Phoenix for £20. Thank you very much. So really happy about that. Mm-hmm. Nice. If it ever turns up, cool.
So wait, because obviously the slow grow is almost over. So we have the Twilight King coming up sometime in the spring, I guess, or summer. Yeah. Don't know yet. So what do we do in the meantime? Do your ogres are already done.
Ogres are done. I've just got a couple of more models to do from the Vanguard box. I will get those done. I haven't built them yet, but effectively that bit's done. So that would leave me. Our friend Manuel, who's got a massive Via Min army, he's got something ridiculous like €450 worth of Via Min. He's coming to our weekend in Feb. We need the Via Min for that, for the story. They're literally the most important faction in that story. So as long as I can assume he's turning up, I don't need to worry about my Veermin right now. So I could do my Empire of Dust now, because I could get started on the starter box stuff. And then when the Mega Army box arrives, carry on.
I'm up to doing a slow grow EOD with you, because I'm like 70% in, so maybe I could still maybe finish at the same time as you do.
I was going to say, I still feel like I could, I could still finish first.
Yeah, you still have your chances. Yeah,
won't necessarily look better, but I can push that. Mind you, but the last couple of months, so I had, me and the family, we all had flu last month, which completely knocked me out for like 3 weeks, like completely, didn't do anything. But yeah, since then, I haven't quite got my crazy hobby mojo back. I haven't been, I have done stuff.
Only one army a week, Like
right, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All numbers.
Exactly. Yeah, just doing 1,000 points of Kings of War in a month. I mean, what is that,
Yeah, that's been a warm-up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Normally that's just while I'm waiting for us to start the pod kind of situation.
Right.
But yeah, actually, let's do that, Clem. I'm happy to do that. Yeah, let's do EOD.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, let's do EOD. Yeah. Cool.
All right. Should we move on to our next segment?
Yes, very much. I always look forward to this section when it wasn't me that had to do the reading.
So it was kind of, I would almost say by accident, not exactly, but yeah. So the way I wrote it in the notes, maybe will tell everyone what it's about. So I read the EOD lore and it did not go well. So I was just a bit annoyed when I wrote it. I think I'm not a Tomb King fan to begin with, so the whole undead in the desert Egyptian guy is just like, meh, not my thing.
So it's like, I've read the rats lore. I'm not really a rat person. I'm more of a dog person.
Yeah,
not interested in that.
Yeah,
not a good start.
I remember when I was Clash of Kings with you in Cardiff, and we saw the first renders for the next army. Like, everyone was like, oh yeah, it's like Tom King's like, oh, well, I mean, that's some money I won't spend, so that's great. Like
that's
all
the
of
positives.
The 27 or whatever armies they are, like the one that I just, not my thing is these ones. So well played, because I actually now I've read the lore, I got the armies from the starter, and I even bought a few more models to bring them to 1,000 points. But yeah, no, so one detail, so like maybe I'm just stupid, probably that's what it is, but I could not find the lore, like in the background documents on the website. I don't know, I couldn't find it in the companion app, couldn't find it on the website, I just don't know where it was, so I had to scan the QR code to finally just get it. So anyway, it's just to give you an idea of how I started this journey into reading the lore.
There's going to be some twist where Clem read something and went, oh, that's fascinating. Okay, I'm turned around on the subject. This is really interesting. I love sand.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, then I read the fluff, so just from the background document, so I didn't read or look for more sources yet. So it's basically they were a flourishing civilization and casually got into necromancy, as one does, and then they used their servants. So
Clem, so this is in the past, right?
Yeah, like a very long time ago, right? They were a great civilization.
1,000 years ago, more?
Something like that.
And it was a human civilization.
Mark, please take notes, and then you can correct everything wrong that I say later. But yeah, I think like a long time ago is what the impression that I had. Like in glorious distant past.
Yeah, but they were humans, right?
They are humans. Yeah.
It was a long time ago, and they're humans.
Yeah. And was it at that time? Was it a desert wasteland, or was it fertile, lovely place to live?
That part I'm not sure was super clear. I think it was already kind of hot weather and so on. But was it fully desert? I don't remember. Maybe.
Is it just Egypt with the Nile Valley being very verdant and lush and fantastic for growing crops, but then desert further south or whatever?
That's sort of. I think there's a big oasis in the area, but isn't it where the Twilight Kin are, like in the big hall?
It's nearby. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's
nearby.
exactly different.
That thing I mentioned earlier, the mouth of Leith, goes into the coast there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I had no idea about that part, but it was also in the EOD lore, like they're the neighbors basically. Anyway, so long story short, they got into necromancy, and then they realized they could revive their dead servants and have them fight endlessly, and that was great. Except for the families of the dead, who were like, "Grandpa, please let him rest."
Oh, but that's an interesting. I like that. That's an interesting extra thing.
Sure. Yeah. So
I like
the
that.
thing is, where that one is going is those people were upset about reviving Grandpa, like for the 20th.
Can you imagine if rich people were doing that now? And let's be honest, they would if they could.
Absolutely. If it was worth it for the money, they definitely would. So
let my grandpa go back into the grave.
What's it called? Well, that was probably several sci-fi movies like this or series. I've seen a Netflix show where it's like you can basically switch consciousness into bodies, and very rich people basically don't die. And anyway, there's lots of stuff.
There's a horror film called Get Out that had a very similar vibe. It was not
Right.
good. Yeah, it did not go well. Yeah.
Anyway, so they upset some of their people, and those people left and created what is now Ophelia. But so Ophelia also does necromancy, but they do it the ethical version of it. So that's why Ophelia is undead, but good undead.
So are they neighbours then with the Empire of Dust?
I think, yeah. It's Ophelia is to the north. I have no idea where all of that is on the map, but from what I understand, it's the far south is the EOD people, and to the north of that would be Ophelia. And so
Ophelia, they'll bring your deceased grandpa back. No, they won't humiliate him. They'll keep his dignity.
Yeah, no, you bring your own grandpa dead and you sign a contract with him so that it's fair fighting, and when it's done, he can go back and rest a little bit, you know.
Oh,
so
that's
after one
cool.
round in Afghanistan, he can go back to his family and spend some quality time before going back again. So that's the ethical way.
I actually quite like that. And I would like it more, I think, if it was kind of tied into a religion. I think I would like that.
Oh, there's probably some religion somewhere. I don't know. They didn't mention it too much, though, for neither the EOD or the Ophelians. But so, yeah, that's the thing. It was kind of funny to me because I thought the EOD sound completely boring. And it's like, great, you took the Tom Kings and then you just put that to rest. And out of this, you make Ophelia, which is much more interesting. But I guess people just love the look of Tomb Kings, like Egyptians, undead, blah, blah, blah. So that's why we actually have models.
It does look, the units do look great. I mean, particularly the new
they are amazing kits, and I've had a great time assembling them, and painting them is also super nice, and so on. It's just not, to begin with, not exactly nothing. But anyway, so in the end of the whole 5 pages of what I'm saying here, more or less, the EOD ended up self-destructing because too much petty infighting. And they were kind of like buried in the sand and forgot how to wake up from necromantic stuff or whatever. I don't really remember, or I'm not sure it was really mentioned what was the cataclysmic events that just put them to sleep. And now, basically, they're, for some reason, somehow waking up and coming back with a vengeance, mostly against Ophelians because they left us, and that's about it. So that's my understanding of the EOD fluff. And I read all of this to come up with some background for my own force. But before we go into this, Mark, do you want to tell us what actually happened?
Can I just jump in and just mention something before I forget?
Go.
So what I liked about that was, as you kind of hinted, Clem, is not so much the Tomb King stuff. Oh, sorry, Empire of Dust. But it was more on the Ophidian side. So imagine if your dear old grandpa, imagine if he's not actually that great a guy, grandpa, he stole a donkey from the neighbors, he was a bit of a cheeky guy, had the odd affair. He wasn't so great. So possibly, as he's approaching his last years on this planet, or, Pannithor, perhaps, you almost have a tome of, he's almost got a ledger of good deeds and bad deeds going for him, right? And you've got to reach a certain credit score if you want to make it into the afterlife, right? But the good news is, hey, if you're in the red, as we say, then, well, you can come back and help, do good for society as a skeleton zombie type. And then once you've done your time, then you can be laid to rest again, and you can go and enjoy the afterlife, and your family can know that you did your part for society in the end.
That sounds pretty dystopian to me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I see. You're really ready to play Mason Labs, because that's something that can do.
Yeah, my sins totally cool. Everyone else's, okay, you owe big time.
You owe us. Oh, you're gonna come back. Like, death will not be your escape. Anyway, so
you'll escape when I say you can escape. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So Mark, tell us all about EOD, but the proper way, please.
Well, I don't know if I can do that. The thing I'm most excited about is the Ophidians, to be honest with you. So
right.
I think it's a natural rival for the EOD, and then I'm a big fan of Jarvis. So I'm looking forward to the Ophidians. And I know Matt was working on an Ophidian list, so I'd love to see that come out and see how that contrasts with the EOD, and then we'll go from there. But I'm much more excited about the Ophidian stuff, to be honest with you. So
I think we all laugh from that conversation, aren't we, to be quite honest? But I think with the Ophidians, they have to do something meaningfully different. It can't just be EOD, but with the good keyword,
Right. Exactly.
Well, I will say, though,
how are they going to do that? Is it going to be a more Arabian vibe? Maybe if you look at Jarvis, he's got a little more of that Aladdin look to him, so are they going to, is that how they're going to work it? It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. So,
yeah.
Easy to do it.
The only thing I would say about EOD, though, is the lore may not be that interesting in our opinion, but the play style on the table, I think, actually is really cool. I really love that. Not just Surge, but the units they've got are interesting.
Yeah,
I think it looks great on the table.
Play style. Like, for me, it's quite a challenge, I think.
Oh, it wouldn't be for me. I'm interested to see, because I completely agree with you.
Yeah, if it wasn't themed as Storm Kings, I would definitely play this type of list because it's a challenge as well. But anyway, let's. And again, maybe I'll just change my mind after playing it a few times and diving deeper in it.
Well, you're going to be playing it in Ambush.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think it's going to be super, super fun army to play, to be honest.
So, after reading that fluff, because my original motivation was not to come up with a critical segment for the podcast, but to actually, ground my small ambush force into something, I came up with some fluff. And I'm going to read it out loud now. So, name to be defined, used to be a respectable member of the establishment in name of a EOD city. He was super into necromancy himself and loved to show off his powers. Before long, his whole house got annihilated. Yeah, make it short, that's the story. During the following centuries, various explorers have pillaged his domains and stolen extremely valuable artifacts from him. These have been traded from hand to hand all over Pannithor. Now awakened, he is on a mission to gather his Horcruxes, because, you see ideas everywhere, from all around the world to find...
We're not getting sued, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that
our podcast does not have good legal representation.
No, it's something else. Anyway, from all around the world to finally restore the power, or his power of all, I cannot type, and bring vengeance to all who stole from his riches. So that's the thing. And so the idea with this is I can spice up every single game that I play with this army and assign myself a secret mission to choose any unit that has a magical artifact in the enemy army. And my secret narrative mission is to kill them to retrieve the item that they stole from me thousands of, or bought from someone who stole it from me hundreds or thousands of years ago. And of course, I will keep a list of all the battles that I fight and how many boots of Sir Jesse I can gather over a few games and so on. And suddenly it made me a lot more excited to play these EODs because I think we've talked about it in the past quite a lot, right? For Kings of War, like what's exactly going on here? Like what's the narrative reason for these fights to happen? And so far, I've always struggled to say, okay, my Salamanders are fighting against League overall their army. Why? What's the story here? What's going on? Well, the story is I have Salamanders and Vincent as League of Orgia, so that's why they fight. It's kind of boring. So I think if you approach it from the angle, like same for this army, like you have kind of a small fluff, small reason to exist for this army, like for this force. So it's an expedition led by this rich, noble EOD guy to retrieve his objects. Then you know why the force exists, and then every single game you can have your slightly tasty objective, like, yeah, I really want to kill, like I'm losing this game horribly, but I don't care. I'm going to kill that unit right there, even if it doesn't make sense to win the scenario or anything, but I really want to kill that unit and retrieve that item because it's missing on my list. You know what I mean? And I think it's going to be amazing.
It sounds like an 80s kind of revenge movie, but this sounds absolutely amazing. And what I love about it is just the fact that it's simple, but it explains every battle you're going to have. Doesn't matter who you're playing against.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like flexible in that regard. I love it, Clem. Absolutely love it.
That was the Eureka movement. That's what I wanted to come up with fluff-wise for Kings of War. And so that got me thinking, of course, we have a Salamanders army, right? So now we can also come up with some cool fluff for both of our armies. So
sorry, Clem, just to interrupt, and I've just been thinking about it while you were talking. I really think that was excellent, and I don't know if Mark wants to jump in as well, but I was thinking maybe actually if I'm going to come up with some fluff for my EOD guy, my priest or whatever, a high priest or whatever it is, I was thinking maybe he's just woken up and things are not as he remembers them to be, and his little kingdom is all it used to be beautiful and verdant, and he's woken up and it's all terrible, and he's just really confused as to what's going on. Sort of
like oh shit, did I take way too much morphine last night?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Oh, I've got the vapors. Exactly.
Samantha, where are you, dear?
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of feel like at no point does he really understand what's going on. He's just sort of raging against, reality in effect. Yeah.
Sounds like a cool. Yeah.
Mark, what do you think of Clem's idea?
Oh, I love it. Anything that brings the extra fluff, and we were just talking earlier about trying out the the Vanguard scenarios in Kings of War, and that when you have that extra motivation, it's kind of like those tertiary objective cards or something like that, but you're making it up yourself as opposed to drawing some kind of random thing. It's like, I got to kill that guy for that particular reason, or it advances the objective somehow. And so, if you've got some kind of ladder campaign going, that might also help, with, that's that specific objective or something like that. That might be really cool. So, but any of the extra fluff is just what gives the game the flavor. We're always talking about, changing the units or doing this or doing that to inject flavor. And, narrative is the spice that goes into the soup that gives it that flavor. Why am I doing this? Why am I raising, why am I salting the earth? Why am I grabbing loot tokens? Why am I doing that? That loot token doesn't just have to be a loot token. It could be, like a jeweled cup that, I need for the next part of my campaign or something like that. So, it's awesome. I love hearing this stuff.
And Clem, so let's say, for example, you fight against me and you kill my mage priest, let's say. What if then you rolled a d20 and you looked in the book at the magical items? Oh, look, I just got my blade of slashing back or whatever. And then maybe you could, have it in the next army list.
Yeah, some stuff like this could be quite nice. I mean, you have to figure out how to make it still balanced and not snowball too much. Also, figure out what happens when you actually lose. But yeah, I think you can you can add a lot of flavor to games with doing simple stuff like this. And again, like before that, I was really like, yeah, I got those EOD models. They'll be nice for demo purposes and whatever. I can experiment with multi-basing on an army that I don't really care about. And now that I have a story and a mission with these guys, I'm like, when can I be done painting them so that I can actually go and retrieve magical items? Like, that's the army I most want to play right now.
When can we start the quest?
No, seriously. Like,
Yeah,
it's,
no. So I'm not,
and I'm
making
sure,
fun of you, but I wish I
sure,
were. It'd be great. I love making fun of you. No.
Yeah, that's the dynamic of the code into something. But yeah, no, I'm sure also the part that I was super happy with is I'm sure you can have a narrative expansion in the game and like give 20 examples of stuff like this, and then anyone can just pick up one random your own quests with your army, and that gives you some motivation to play with it and tweak the list and go out and have fun with it. And so, yeah, I was really satisfied with this one without, running my horn too much, but still doing it. Yeah. Anyway. But yeah, and so for Salamanders, I think this you could do the same thing. So we talked about it quickly, Chris. And so I think the latest stuff we came up with was both of our armies. It's actually, there's a temple somewhere deep on Dino Island.
Monster Island.
Monster Island, exactly. And the elder priest there is aging, and everyone knows it's gonna be replaced at some point. And so both of our generals are actually up and coming mage priests that really wants to prove themselves. And to prove their worth, well, they gather a small force and go all around the world, and they travel light, so that's why half of our army is basically fire stuff that you can summon, but you don't have to feed all the time. And also, obviously, it's kind of a flex, right? Like when you summon 2 great fire elemental or like 3 hordes of fire elementals in your army, it's kind of like, look at me, like
they're proving, totally. It's an ego thing as well. Yeah, exactly, right. Off. So this is 90% Clem, because Clem had this great idea, and I basically just piggybacked off the back on this.
It was. I love those discussions. Like we ping pong like crazy on WhatsApp, and like, hey, we could do this and this and this and this, and then we jump into a project.
Yeah, but it was 90% your great idea. So so there's as Clem said, right. So there's this aging mage priest. The fire in him is dying. He's going black and sort of ashen, and who has the power to succeed me? Who will prove themselves? He doesn't have an heir, so we're two young go-getter middle-aged salamander mage priests who just want to prove themselves, right? So we may not be the rich kids on Dino Monster Island, but we've got ships, so we're jumping in our ships. We don't have the money to have corsairs and that kind of fancy stuff. So we've got, we're just using the power of our magic to prove ourselves. We don't have to have a supply train. We don't have to feed, an army. We just go, we get into trouble, and then we create our elemental armies, and then we have at it and prove, to prove our might. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think, I'm not too sure, like, I guess for every mission or every game we play, we could count how much we outperform the opponent's magic, right? Or like try to kill wizards or something like this. We just we just own him or something like that. I'm not sure, but
yeah, because we were kind of thinking that I think mage priests they see, I think, magic as the ultimate power. This is our idea of it, right? Is that magic is the ultimate power in the world, and so. Not just being powerful yourselves is obviously very, very important, but also this idea of killing enemy wizards, evil wizards, is somehow significantly reducing their power. So it's making yourself stronger while making your enemy much weaker. Because I think we're in on this idea that we're very obsessed with magic, right, Clem?
Yeah, I think that's really how the army is came to be, really. And I think I need to come up with a name for my mage priests, like the head honcho. I think definitely there's potential. And then again, every single game that you play with this army now, there's a story.
Yeah.
you have a story for it. It's your egomaniac mage priest, and if there's any occasion to show off or flex, like, yeah, I'm better than you guys, my dude, that's what it's gonna do, right?
Clem, what do we think the other dinosaurs, Dino Monster Island residents, are they happy with what we're doing, or have we gone Prince Harry? What do you think?
So my wife really wanted to get your opinion on Prince Harry, but maybe not on the air. we can have the discussion later. So I would say 100% Prince Harry, but then what does that mean? Is that good or bad? Well, I'll let you all figure it out for yourself.
Do you think Prince Harry listens to our podcast? That would be my first question.
Maybe you should.
Maybe you should. Yeah, it's probably Megan's favorite show. So
who knows? Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. That's something we need to figure out, right? Like, are the other lizard men like cheering for us? Like, hey, you go get it, boy. Or are they like, it's great that those assholes are just out in the world and not bothering us?
I think we've snuck off. Like, I don't even know if there's maybe, our egos have got in the way of things. Like, maybe there is an official process and we're sort of trying to circumvent it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That, I'm sure there could be something happening, because so in my list I have 2 troops of ancients. So obviously, they could either be, like observers that want to see how good I'm doing.
Oh, I like that, Clem.
Or like it's kind of a sub-faction, like they're kind of not happy with the old guy, and so they want to try to push another faction to come up, and there is a process for the succession of the old guy, but they don't want it. So they don't want the guy that is supposed to come up. They want me instead. So that's why they come with me, and then we're gonna come back and do a coup or something.
And I've got 3 regiments in the formation, the Whispering Scales, and maybe they're kind of dissidents. Maybe they're
like Praetorians or something, right? Like you're because it's kind of an elite like this.
But it's maybe they're people that haven't lived on Dino Monster Island. I've forgotten the word for it now. Let's emigres. That's the word. Emigres. Maybe they've been living in Basilia or something, and they've sort of been plotting, and they see an opportunity for power. Yeah.
So again, stupid idea to begin with, but then look at us. We've been talking about narratives and stuff for a while, and again, every single game we're gonna play with this army. Yeah, you can 10 seconds, and you come up. Yeah, why do you play invade? Well, for this and that reason, and that's it, and then completely change the game. So, just happy with it, and.
I think
they're great.
One of the reasons I like to play the bad guys, or in this case the good guys, but kind of the sneaky, underhand, slightly corrupt good guys, is that I think if I play the good guys, I normally lose when I play. So if I'm playing the good guys, I feel too guilty. Whereas if I play the bad guys, well, at least the bad guys lost.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
I love that. All right, so I got to play evil armies.
Exactly, it cheers me up. Like, well, we lost, but evil was defeated forever, so that's good. The freak died.
Thank me all, because I made the evil lose. How do you defeat them? Yes, by playing them.
Exactly. They were foolish enough to trust me to lead them to battle. Absolutely.
That's a good point.
But Clem, honestly, I absolutely love these ideas you're throwing out there. And what's great as well is sort of last month you were saying, well, yeah, I can do it for Firefight, Warpath, but I can't do it for Pannithor. And then you just went away and had a little think about it. And of course, you can do it for both. I think I cracked
the code. I mean, that was what I wanted to do, and I think that's I'm happy with this. I think the next thing now, what I want to do is try to see if I can push the joke a bit further and maybe publish an article somewhere giving some ideas. Okay, you could do this and this, because I'm sure you can come up with like 5 or 12 archetypes of those missions, and then I have no idea, I'm playing Kingdom of Men and there's no story behind it, so what can I do? And then archetype number 7 would fit maybe your small Kingdom of Men lords somehow, and here's the mission, and here's why your army exists. And I'm sure it could be a very interesting player's resource, actually. So I want to put some effort into it at some point.
Yeah, sounds great, buddy. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. And as we've kind of said previously, if you're putting all this work into something, it's brilliant if it doesn't just end there, that other people can kind of dip in and take what they want. You know, they don't have to just completely copy you. They can just kind of take as much of that as they want to, put as much of their own spin on that as they want to. As long as we're all having fun, it's brilliant.
Yeah, I think it's a question of trying to provide some inspiration here and there, and then have people just fly off with their own thing. So, I mean, you already came up with a different EOD perspective, a different angle. I'm sure if we spend another evening chatting, we'll come up with 3 more for EOD. And, you know, once you've heard 5 of them, it's like, oh, maybe I can come up with a 6th one, or like the one that I really like is a mix of number 3 and number 5, whatever, and do your own thing. And then you also have a cool story to play with. So, yeah, I think that's it's going to be pretty exciting thing to do.
Really cool. Yeah, maybe my EOD guys, you know, thousands of years ago, daughter got sacrificed by another high priest, and he's out to get revenge, which may or may not turn out to be Clem's guy.
Who knows? I mean, I loved your version of, like, you know, the almost overdose. You know, like I'm doing like a secret ritual to trigger something, and sleep for the next 12 days for a ritual, and then it's 1200 years instead. And then you wake up and you're like, oh shit, what's going on?
This place is really gone to hell last night.
It's a brilliant. Also, it kind of fits your playstyle well. Like, oh, I have no idea what's going on. Like,
that's not playstyle. That's personality.
Where am I? Like, are we in a battle now? But how do I win this game? Oh, I needed to take the loot tokens. Oh shit! I thought we were playing Invade. That's perfect for your playstyle.
It's like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, except without drugs.
Yeah.
That's the sad thing is I'm teetotal and completely sober, and I still have absolutely no idea what's going on.
I think necromancers don't have drugs. I think they're very potent drugs.
Oh, they must do. They must do. Surely there's going to be smoke
and drugs.
There's going to be, you know, these rituals. They're going to be burning powders, and the air's going to be thick with crazy stuff.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So there you go. Yeah.
Some kind of poppies and flowers, and I'm sure there's some kind of purple flowers being burned in the corner there. Some wailing and chanting.
Yeah, cool being excuses, right? Like you can make nice bases for your army. Like all the leftover from the drugs.
Oh, nice.
Like the purple flowers. Oh yeah, that one is a very active psychotrop. Don't mess with it.
Like just wake up and everything is like the palace has collapsed in on itself, and like everything we've just been completely entombed for centuries, and you're sort of like, what's this?
Something went horribly wrong.
The window's closed. Yeah, what's going on?
Like
it's funny, right?
Millennia hangover. Yeah, I love it. I'm sure you can write books out of this. Literally.
Yeah. We touched on it earlier, Clem, but it's so interesting. It's just like a slightly different way of looking at things. So when I saw those Matsudan in the Black Friday sale, I was like, okay, what story can I justify to make up to justify me buying these models? And it's like, okay, someone's hacked into the robotics, and so they have to kind of fight back and go, oh no, we've actually got to do this for ourselves and not rely on drones and whatever.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, it really does give something to games that just makes such a difference, doesn't it? Really, really does. Because Mantic makes such amazingly fun game systems anyway, but just giving it just that little personal touch, and just because we put so much love into painting these models, right? Building and painting. It's a lot of time. That's a heck of a lot of time that we could have learned Chinese or learned judo, or I don't know. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah, anyway.
No, I like it. I'm happy with it, and now I can't wait to play more. Funny enough, so you know my half-scale undead army already has a name and so on. Like there's kind of a reason for it to exist from a fluff perspective, but I need to come up with a similar story and a bit more of an excuse, or what is it that they're trying to achieve in the battlefield and so on. But yeah, super excited to try it out very soon.
I think about an hour into the pod, I thought, oh, actually, do you know what? We might even come in under time this month. But of course, what a ridiculous thing to think that was. So optimistic.
You're cute. So, not the brightest.
Yeah.
But cute.
This is only episode 11. Super. So let's move on to listener questions. We've just got one question this month from Yeah, Pod All-Star Peter Thomas Swift, who is, we should say as well, is working on this first Kings of War army, which is EOD.
Right.
So that's very exciting.
Green. Beautiful green army.
Yes, well done, Peter. Fantastic. So Peter is asking, how do you approach building and painting a brand new army? Do you write a list first, then stick to it, or buy the models you like first and build around it? Do you tackle infantry first as a continuous production line, or mix it with bigger models to break it up, etc.?
Yeah, great question. So usually there's a reason for me to start a new army, and that's basically what's pushing me for the initial decisions. Maybe it's I love this model, this and that model in this range, and so I have to have it. And then, okay, maybe now I need to find other stuff around for the army. Or, hey, I want to try this play style, this kind of list building. And so I build a list first, and then, okay, now I need the models for it. For example, for my Salamanders, I was under the influence, bad influence of a friend. And I'm sure Peter can relate there, because we all know how he got to start with EOD. Might be the same TT weird person, but Anyway, no, so for the Salamanders, I really wanted to have surge and fast flyers, and Salamanders can do just that, so it's like, great, that's a good argument in favor of them, and I wanted to paint fire and have a Phoenix. So I definitely... So
it was the play style, sorry Clem, just to interrupt, yep. So it was the kind of the coming together of the play style plus some of the units, so it's a bit of both, basically.
It's a combination of all of it.
Venn diagram.
So your bad influence to get started, hey, let's jump into an army project together. So let's pick up one of the latest Mantic ranges that we like. And then I was thinking, okay, what type of gameplay I want. Yeah, Surge is something I want to experiment with, and I also want fast movements and flyers. And so doing Surge and fast flying shenanigans at the same time, it's sexy. And then, I want to paint fire because I love painting fire. Fire elementals, awesome, sign me up. And I want the Phoenix because that model is just amazing.
Gorgeous.
And
I think
boom,
it's the best
that's it. That's how the whole army started. And then from there, usually, you want to buy a starter set if there's one available for it, like the EOD with the Sense of Amun or the Ogres. Or like just a mega army most of the time is a good way to get started. Like for my Forces of the Abyss, I got the mega army, and you get a good starting point, very solid starting point. And and then for the rest of the questions, so the like the painting and production line, it's true that painting a whole Kings of War army, it takes some effort, and so you have to think a bit about it and not make it become like a punition. Because otherwise, just like, what's the point? Unless you're masochist, in which case, great, like, go ahead. But I think for me, finding a good, efficient process, like to just chunk through infantry, is a satisfying thing to do, because I know how to paint an EOD skeleton now, because I spent some time figuring out, okay, I'm going to use blue, I'm going to use gold, I'm going to use this and that, and now after work, I come home, I go to my hobby desk, and I need to just listen to some music or a podcast for half an hour or an hour. I'm going to keep my hands busy, and I'm going to do step 3 of my recipe on 20 skeletons. And, you just turn to this, and then it's a relaxing, repetitive task, but it could be a certain form of relaxing. And sometimes I'm like, I'm done with this. I want to do some more focused work, and then I would switch to a hero and do like a third pass of layering or some more advanced techniques of painting. And so I think it's important to still keep having fun while doing it. And once you don't have fun doing it, figure out why that is, and change tactics, because ultimately that's a hobby and it must be relaxing and fun and not a bad constraint. So yeah, that would be my overall approach to it.
I think, Clem, you've answered the question really, really well. I'll throw it over to Mark in sort of smaller chunks. Mark, what attracts you to doing a particular army for Kings of War?
Unfortunately, I have Army ADHD really bad. So I just kind of hop around. So it's kind
You're
of
among friends, though.
Yep.
So it's kind of the look of the Army a little bit. It's like, well, I haven't done that one yet. That kind of looks cool. I should paint that, a little bit on, I'm trying to get more variety for our 500-point games. So I try to generate a few more armies and things like that. It's just kind of a whim that hits me. So
you might be trying to cover
it.
different play styles as well, right? So you might go, oh, an army with a load of surge in it. We don't have that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I play Surge because of the undead. So, or I play against Surge, I should say. But for me, a lot of it is just kind of the look and just kind of the whim, what's the latest thing. And unfortunately, I have so much, my pile of opportunity is so large that, something finally just bubbles to the top. I wish it was something more scientific than that, but that's really kind of the way it works for me. It's just kind of like I've been working on Night Stalkers since that 2-player set came out. And I have part of an army built, and I was working on that 500-point army. And the next thing you know, kaboosh, Abyssals. So, they just kind of bubbled to the top and got my interest, and, I'm going on it, so I'm just going to try to finish it. I like the EOD I did. I really wanted to do EOD. So I buckled down and knocked out an EOD army. I bought some chariots. They're still sitting in the resin soak right now, and they've just been sitting there for a long time. I just haven't pulled them out and put them together. It's just kind of the ADHD is strong with this one when it comes to hobby. So
it's great to have options, though, isn't it? And to be honest, this is all just for our enjoyment. It's for fun, right?
It's for fun. That's it.
It's just for fun. So, if you've nearly finished, let's say, for example, you did 350 points of a 500-point list, Abyss army, but then you decide, no, I want to go and do ogres. I want to go and do EOD. So what? It's fun. We talk about making progress and getting work done, but this is our fun time. This is our free time. So unless you've got a tournament you want to go to where you've got to get a specific army done, what does it matter? Our progress doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to be a straight line, right? It can be all over the place.
I think the only exception to that I would see is I know some people who have like 10 projects in parallel. I mean, I also have too many in parallel. But then they will split their effort between these 10 projects, and they have the impression that they do nothing. Because they, instead of having 100% of a project done, they have 10% of 10 projects done. And then all you have in the end is a project 10% done 10 times. So I think that might be, like, if it makes you unhappy to work on 10 times at the same time, then yes, do something about it. But if you enjoy, like mad, jumping from painting skeletons to jumping Night Stalkers to painting goblins, whatever, and painting one unit at a time, maybe, do it. Like, what's stopping you? So it's a hobby. It should be fun, and it should make you happy. I think that's the key guiding element.
Totally, Clem. Speaking just for me, I normally like to have a couple of different options kind of primed and ready to go. So, I can decide between, this Firefight project or this Kings of War project on a whim almost. Having said that, there is a point at which my hobby table just gets too cluttered, at which point I find that quite stressful. So there is having 2 or 3 options works well for me. Having 10 options wouldn't work for me because I would just go, oh God, there's too much. Much on my plate.
So I think there's a delicate line to, walk on. And if you just have one thing on your desk and you don't want to paint duels, well, nothing will happen. If you have 2 or 3 things on your desk, you'll pick one that you like. And if there's more than that, you might want to put some away to not discourage you too much.
And from my perspective, just starting the beginning of the question of how do you start the army, I think much more competitive players than us would probably check on Fanatics. They'd play UB, they'd test things, they'd buy a load of Glade Stalkers. I think it's fair to say none of the 3 of us are interested in that. The way I've historically done armies is in an incredibly haphazard way, but it's what I enjoy doing. So let's say, for example, Northern Lights was my first Kings of War army. I bought the Mega Army box, and then I just bought a load of boxes of models I just thought looked really, really cool. and then only later did I start to look at putting them into any kind of list. But my intention was never ever going to be I need to make a competitive list with this. It was just like, wow, I'm excited about these models.
Yeah.
As time's gone on, I have found myself more putting things into Mantic Companion just to have a little play around. But to be honest, that's probably up to a certain point. Salamanders, I did actually deliberately build the list first and then do all the models, which did make the project a lot easier. But I'm a man that as well that likes to have his options. So as I said earlier, well, I probably will just get some tyrants and things for maybe some Rhinosaur Cav for Salamanders, just because I like to have all the models. I'd like to have some more of the
They're gorgeous models as well. So yeah,
exactly.
I will want some of them. I mean, to get back maybe to the initial question, and also because I think Peter is just getting started with Kings of War, and it's always stressful, list building for like the very first time you list build for a system you don't know yet. I think when I think about list building, I would look at it from several angles. So the first one is, does your army, like the army list or what you want to play, fit with any of the archetypes in the game? So the Alpha Strike, which is basically, it doesn't mean you need to strike fast, like super fast.
Just need to hit first, right, Clem?
You choose your fights. Like I remember I tried that with just in a party, but with Varangos, you charge turn 1 or turn 2, and you're like, yay! And then you can't survive the whole game and you lose. You choose the fights. That's what I understand to be Alpha Strike. So anyway, so that Alpha Strike grinding, so it means have lots of nerve, and you did 20 damage to my army this round. Well, I don't care. I have so much of it that it doesn't really matter too much. I can heal it, I can regenerate it, so that's grind. I think the other one, another classic is Flying Circus. So you have tons of super fast. So you basically outspeed the opponents, or you can outmaneuver them with flying stuff. Then there's the shooting archetype. It's not that prevalent in Kings of War. Like, you can't just do shooting, but some armies do a lot of damage with shooting, and that's really what gives them an edge. And the other one that I could think of, and I think is the classic, is high defense. Like tons of defense 6 units, and then it's very hard to do any wounds to them. And then obviously armies can do several of those. Your army list will not be 100% Alpha Strike, which is kind of elements of it. So kind of think about what type of army you want to do, I think is what I'm saying here.
And if you're not sure, just do a balanced army to start.
Yeah, so of course.
The beauty of doing a balanced army is you're unlikely if the rules changing in the cock, there's a rebalancing. As long as you've got a balanced army, you're unlikely to be too negatively impacted by that. Whereas if you get all Glade Stalkers, then hey.
So all Glade Stalkers is kind of an exception or in a weird way. But what I'm saying is you can have a very balanced and multi-purpose Alpha Strike oriented army. Like what gives you wins or like what you want to play with is Alpha Strike. The next question I think is even more interesting is how does your army list or the list you're building fight any of the other archetypes that I just listed? So if you come up against someone that has tons and tons of units like Kingdoms of Men with tons of hordes of goblins, how do you win against this? Like what do you do with this opponent? So I think this is an interesting way to build up your own lists. The other thing that I think makes sense when you build your list is figure out how you deploy your army. Like which unit works with what, which one, how many inspiring sources do you have, and how do they group on the table. And so practice deploying your army on your own and figure out how you place them, what they try to do.
That'll also give you an idea of what each unit's job is, right, Clem?
Absolutely.
You'll have a much better idea of, Yeah,
like just be a bit more aware of, I have 2 units of cavalry, where do they go on the table? And which hero needs to be nearby them?
So if you think of all of your units as a tool, what are the tools actually for? What do you need them for in the army? What role are they serving?
Yeah, absolutely. And then, do they go on a flank, and do they try to run around to the flank? Or are they just a distraction made to look scary, but actually the core of your army is on the other side? but they still need to look scary enough to hold the opponent for long enough. That could be like 2 regiments of shitty shooters, like you don't really want to go there, or you actually have to go and grab them, disable them, otherwise they will shoot at you. But they only cost 120 points each, and so the rest of the army is on the other side and walking forward. So all this type of stuff comes from understanding how you deploy your army and how your units work together. And then the last thing I think that is worth considering when you think about list building, especially if you think more from a tournament perspective, is how do you win at every single one of the scenarios? Or maybe not each scenario, but each type of scenario. So the token-based scenario, where you have to carry tokens around or like reach on the other half of the table and tokens, the objective-based ones or the position-based ones. So the invade, the control, the dominate. And I think trying to take your list and say, how do I deploy my army when I want to play dominate? Do that like with an empty table, like no opponent, doesn't matter what the opponent does. Like set a table, you can do it on UB, for example, right? Like create a table on UB, like load one existing table, and then deploy your army for dominate. And having to do this will force you to think about, well, that part doesn't work in my list, or I need to move this unit next to that one, or hey, I didn't have enough space here, and you will get some better insights about the list. And then the next thing, obviously, is practice. Practice. This is the only thing that will give you some understanding of what your army and units can do. Just put them on a table, UB or a real table, and play them. And you can play with pieces of cardboard. Like even if you haven't painted a single EOD model yet, and I know you already have, but even if your army is not ready, find a buddy that wants to play Kings of War with you and cut pieces of MDF, like empty multi-bases, and play a game with it. Just blue tack, 1 skeleton on it, and that's your skeleton horde. Doesn't matter. Like you know what the unit does. The footprint is there, so from the rules perspective, it works. Play, like deploy that army, play a couple rounds with it, and see how it goes, and then you can go back to list building. Anyway, yeah, I've talked a lot. Sorry, guys.
You have, buddy, but it was all very useful. Cool. I think if you guys are happy, I think you've answered the question really well, actually, Clem, to be quite fair. So, as always, we'll push for time. So should we move on to our topic of the month? 2023, the year of Mantic, as we're calling it. So we want to talk about our plans, hopes, and expectations for this year. So, Mark, should we start with you?
Well, I'm hoping for the frames we talked about a little earlier today. I'm hoping that we get more than 2 armies in plastic this year. I'd love to see 4. I don't know. That just sounds like a nice number to double it. So I think Trident Realms would be very important to get. And I also would love to see the Twilight Kin. I think earlier I mentioned Gekata as Trident Realms, but I'd love to see them come out for the Salamanders. I'm sure you guys would love to have them for your Salamander army. And the ones that are, riding the flame lizards and all that kind of cool stuff. The name evades me here at the second. But those guys are really cool looking.
Skylord on Scorchwing, I think. Yeah, they're really cool looking.
They're really cool. Yeah. I just think that would add a lot to the army. I think that's just a big hole there, and I think they could sell a ton of those, because you kind of need them. And, people are using skinks now and stuff like that. So I don't know. I think it would be very cool to add that up there. And then I'd take a look at filling up some holes that they have out there. And then we mentioned it earlier, I would love to see Ophidia come out. So I'm hoping that will be the big release for the fall. I doubt it will be. It'll probably be the next year because we're going to get Twilight Kin first, and then we'll probably do Ophidia next year. So, but I think that would be very cool. I'd like to see, 4 really good hard plastic frames come out. Of course, everybody wants to see the elves get revamped and things like that. So we'll see what happens. But that's kind of what I am hoping for. And I think that you're definitely going to see a 2-player set. So, Twilight Kin are obviously going to be 1 army slotted in there. So what is the other? So as far as Firefight goes, we've already talked about it a little bit for tanks. I'd like to see every faction get a tank. I'd like to see every faction get an APC. And since there's flyers everywhere, heck, we might as well get every faction a flyer too. But I think that that's just kind of the bare minimum so that everybody's kind of in the same area, and maybe a walker as well. I just think that those add a lot to it. So, and I'd love to see the Marauder Raptors come back with the trikes that they had from first edition. I think that would be fun. So we'll see what kind of imagination they have with that. Maybe that'll come out with tanks. But that's kind of my wish list for right now. We've had a really, really good run with Kings of War, and I'd love to just see it go from strength to strength to strength, and the hobby continue to grow so that we can produce finances for Mantic, and they can keep pumping out frames. Particularly, I want to see more coming from this Polish manufacturer. I can't wait to see what comes out next. So, how about you, Clem?
Yep, I was muted. That doesn't work so well. The first thing I need to figure out is prepare my big Kings of War event of the year, like the trip to Clash of Kings. It is a big day. Like, we're staying a few, big event. We're staying a few days, visiting everything, and so preparing for that, I think is going to be a good chunk of 23 for me. That also means painting the Salamanders, but of course that will be done very soon. But then playing games with them and figuring out what I want to do around there. I have some EODs, as I mentioned. These will be ready very quickly. I think there's a 99% chance I'm going to do Twilight Kin when they come out, because that's 100% my alley. I'm curious to see what else they come up with for Kings of War later. I have some Undeads, more hobby projects at the moment, but as soon as I find some time, that's something I want to get back to. And then it's mostly about the gaming side of things. So I really want to keep growing the Firefight player base, organize events, come up with cool narratives, and go back to visit Chris or have him come over to Berlin and play amazing games with Firefight. And then do the same with Kings of War. We have a larger player base here in Berlin for Kings of War, so it's easier to do larger events. Now that I also have some ideas for the narrative stuff, I'm even more motivated to do really, cool, motivating events for players, and open the doors and have 8 tables maybe, and so people travel over and meet new armies, new people. That part would be, I think, really amazing. It's probably the same as every year, but I kind of want to clean up some of my collections. Like, I realized there's a bunch of stuff that I've had for years, and it just don't really bring me joy anymore. It just occupies space on my shelves, and so I think I need to spend some time there to shift it to eBay and help it find a new home. And so, overall, as often, I think it's play more and buy less would be my main goal for the year. So, what about you, Chris?
Fantastic. Yeah, really similar to yours, to be honest, buddy. So I think, Salamanders for Clash 23. And Mark, have you made any progress on that? Do you think you'll be over to Nottingham this year?
Let's see. The last discussion I had with my wife was, she wants to go to a law conference at the end of September, so we're wrestling a little bit, and she's like, well, maybe you should just go yourself. So we'll see. It's still in discussion. So that's where I'm at right now. As a matter of fact, that discussion will continue after this podcast. So we're trying to, I did block time at work, so I've got that. So we're still massaging it. I'm also trying to figure out how or where I'm flying into if I'm going to be flying in. So, where's the best place for me to do that? Where are you guys flying into?
So we're flying into Manchester.
Oh, okay. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. And we're getting a car and driving down. Oh, there you go. We've got, there we go. You've got it sorted then, Mark. You just come with us. We'll meet you in Manchester. We'll get a car. Off we go.
What time or what day are you guys getting into Manchester?
We're getting in on Thursday, right, Clem?
Yeah, I think that's Thursday.
We'll be there Thursday until Tuesday. So we are making a little event of it.
Yes.
There you go.
More than welcome. More than welcome to join us.
All right. Well, I will. We'll talk offline, and I'll see. Yeah, I mean, if I get the chance to just bop over and head back, and I'm going to be back at the end of September, that's not so bad for me. So I would be happy to do that.
Oh, fantastic! And yeah, so we're there Thursday to Tuesday. So I think, although it is quick, I think it is worth doing. And as you said, we could go and see Warlord Games as well, and obviously we'll be at Mantic on the Friday night. And I was chatting to Elliot Morris and saying, well, maybe we could play some Ambush on the Friday night. And he said, oh, that's a good idea. So maybe we could play some Ambush at Mantic on the Friday night. And
I thought it was already agreed. Like we would try to convince a lot of people to build a 1,000 point Ambush list from their 2,300 point lists and play 2vs2 Friday night. Isn't that what we said? That's the secret plan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we just got to get somebody at Mantic to stamp that approved, and then we're all set. So, but
right. Well, at least if they don't close the door, I mean, we know where they are. So who knows?
Right.
There you go. Yeah. And then I mean, coming in, I'd love to see Warlord, and I mean, I'm coming in. I got a guarantee if I never get back, I got to go to Warhammer World. I don't know if you guys have been, but I absolutely have to do that.
Never been. We did say we wanted to go. Yeah, we do want to go. So that will be happening. Yeah,
there you go.
Us.
Maybe I can do a quick trip. So, but that is a continuing discussion. So, absolutely.
Perfect. Fantastic.
So 23 for you, Chris.
You can say you've got to do it for the pod.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure your wife will understand.
Because then it's going to expense it on the. Those are my expenses for the pod.
You can try.
You can always send the emails.
Who knows?
There you go.
Fantastic. So exciting. Fantastic. So and it's all stuff we touched on really. So probably Salamanders for Clash. It just feels like the right thing to do. Should get my rats ready for the end of February for Viet Minh, but do I trust Manuel to turn up? Yeah, I do. Maybe that gets put on the back burner. Clem, we've already agreed to do an EOD slow grow, as we call it. So I'll get cracking on that at some point. Again, as you touched on it, Clem, just the idea of kind of scrutinizing my collection and getting rid of the bits that don't bring me joy, as you said. I think that's a really good way to sum it up. So, I've got a load of boxes of stuff, and I to be honest with you, why did I get that? Like, what was my thought process? And if that's the case, just sell it, free up some space, get a bit of money back, and just feel slightly better about the whole thing.
Yeah, less pressure from it. Like some of the stuff, I know why I bought it, but then I changed my mind in the meantime.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. So, I think that's a really important point, and I think at some point we ought to do a topic of the month on that, because I think it's feeling guilty about buying models is definitely a thing, right?
It is.
And that's for someone with as an addictive personality as I have, it is definitely a thing. Super. And
feeling guilty or buying them for the wrong reasons as well, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I definitely think buying models is definitely a crutch. When you've had a bit of a rough day, go online, bit of retail therapy. Oh, and then you've got a couple of boxes of models turning up in a few days, and you get all the excitement of them turning up at the door, and it's like Christmas, and that's definitely a thing. But and then just a lot of the things you touched on, Clem, is we talked about before, is just growing the local community for the different Mantic games, so Deadzone, Firefight, and Kings of War, particularly Ambush. So I just need to make sure I'm seen playing the games, seen having fun playing the games, and always welcoming to people who show an interest.
So going out of your cave and putting your mats, your brand new mats in the shop.
Exactly, buddy. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like a plan.
And it's really funny because I got on Black Friday, Mark. I got 4 6x4 mats that are all the same, because I think they were about €50. No, they were even cheaper. I think they were like €35 So
Wow.
less than $40 for a 6x4 map in Black Friday. So I got 4 exactly the same because they were selling out really, really quickly. And when they arrived, I was like, they're okay. Whereas now, I absolutely love them. But
Why the change of heart?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I'm just more familiar with it now. But yeah, I really, really like them. But I quite like the idea of having 4 the same, because I kind of like the idea I can say, okay, we're fighting on the same planet, or it's the same part of that ambush, and then obviously when we stick them together to make a big game, which we do sometimes, it doesn't look silly having completely different maps next to each other, sort of thing. So it'll all look uniform and sensible. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to just getting out and getting some local players, to be honest. And yeah, very much Clash of Kings is going to be the jewel in the crown of the year, I think. That's something to really, really look forward to.
This, and I mean, also, I'm coming in February. I hope you'll come not too long after that, and I'll come again visit you later in the year. I think that's also like the post-pandemic for me is like, you can go out again and visit friends and have a good time playing games in person.
Get stuff in the calendar. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think I shouldn't wait for February to happen and then have a look to come and visit you. I think I should look to come and visit, make a plan now, so that then in, April, May,
something like this,
we get the cheap train tickets rather than €200 or whatever when you just rock up the train station.
Of course.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
exciting year.
Exciting
year ahead.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah, it's just going to be like last year, but just more. Just want to play more, as you said, and just enjoy the stuff we've got. The mats and the terrain and the lovely Mantic models we've got. Just want to get out and enjoy it.
Mantic is doing great. I think they have exciting plans, and some of the things are speeding up. I hope they catch up on the customer service, because there's some improvement here. Looks like they've been struggling a bit lately with this, but overall they have such an exciting year ahead. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I've never had issues with Mantic customer service, but it seems like I've got a bit of
they're overwhelmed.
Couple of mispacks.
The mispacks, they do happen, but it's just I haven't gotten any answer to emails lately.
Exactly.
Just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
That part is getting annoying, but that's life, I guess. That's what happens when you have more customers and you grow, and I think they've had a change of teams inside. Like internally, people have moved on and so on. So I don't know. I don't know all the details.
It's got to be a difficult business, a difficult process, isn't it? Sorry, Mark.
No, I was just going to say, if they cut down on the mispacks, you would, not worry as much. I think their customer service is really good, but the mispacks has got to be flooding them with more. I mean, I buy a lot of Mantic stuff, so fortunately, I think the mispacks have gone down quite a bit. Yeah. But I still get them. So, and stuff shipped to me directly from Mantic, not from the shelves. So,
I think it's they do great once you manage to get a hold of them. But every time I interacted with them, they did great. They solved the issue. It's just usually it's taking a couple of days, and now it seems to be taking even longer.
Unfortunately, I've got the same at the moment, Clem. Yeah, it's normally historically they've been brilliant, really. But yeah, spoiler alert, everyone, we will have a narrative special. I don't know quite how we're going to structure it, but we will have a narrative special episode coming shortly. And Clem's looking terrified right now at the thought of it.
Clem's one of the best narrative guys in the world. So
he is, right?
He is. It's fantastic.
Right. Yeah. But reading someone else's.
He's humble, but boy, I tell you what, I love talking to him. And he's always challenged me. It's like, what's the hook that you would use there, Mark? It's like very, very cool.
I mean, I have a knowledgeable person right here. Why would I not ask questions, right? That's how you do it.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. Yeah. No, there's some great stuff coming. So yeah, very, very cool.
Nice. Right. And I think we all agree, right? It's so important, narrative and having story, and this is all so important to Kings of War because the game is amazing, the gameplay is amazing, but just having this gives it whole new dimension, or enhances that. Fantastic, great. Guys, thank you so much for spending so much time on a Sunday talking about toy soldiers with me.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Thanks,
All
dear
right.
listener.
Take care, all.